最近おじいちゃんいるから違うけど、久しぶりにバイブス上げてこう。嬉しそうできるスイカ。
How's it going, y'all? And welcome to Castaway Anime, your favorite anime podcast. As always, I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And we're very glad that y'all joined us on this episode number 109 of the podcast. Today's catch of the day features Dandadan episodes 2 through 5 and Mecha-Ude episodes 2 through 5. If you enjoy the podcast and want to hear more of our objectively correct takes, registered trademark, then be sure to subscribe to Castaway Anime here on YouTube and follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode of the best anime podcast. Crunchy, how the hell are you?
Time management is hell. I am facing eternal damnation. Damnation.
You're hard at work in the dungeon, pumping out the next Crunchy Bagels certified hood classic.
I want it out this month, hopefully. If it doesn't, I will krill myself. This isn't even a joke.
It is shrimply the truth.
Krill. It is shrimply the truth, exactly. So I wish I had more media to talk about, but I've really only got voice crack. I've really only got 3, and they're all games, most of which are games that I can play while doing research for said video. So, the first one, honestly, I'm not even sure how many of these have much to say about, because one of them is fucking Minecraft. I started a hardcore world on Minecraft.
Ooh,
just
how's
to
that
play
going?
while... Yeah, I'm playing it while I'm listening to streams in the background that I think are necessary for research. And so there's that. So far, I lost like 5 different worlds, not gonna lie, all of which were very early on. But then I got a spawn that was like, okay, so this must be like one of the new terrain updates for Minecraft, because it's been a little while. But there's like this biome where it's all stone. And it's it's not like a mountains biome, because they're also like, it's like a stone beach almost, but there's also mountains nearby that are all stone. But the place that's really interesting, and where I'm currently building my house, is there's this like ring of mountains surrounding water. And inside the water, like inside the mountains, are 3 islands, and I'm building my house on that. And it's like the most badass location of all time. There's also like a village nearby in a savanna, Savannah Mountains, that has a giant river of lava going down right next to the village, just far enough away that it doesn't burn the entire thing down. It is like the most badass spawn ever. And so I am dedicated to it. I am not fucking dying in this world.
Well, what would you say is the funniest death you've occurred?
Oh, this one is actually really funny. So, it's hardcore, so I found a ravine. A huge ravine, one with like the new cave generation. I was like, oh, I need to go down there. There's like valuable resources. Or actually, no, I remember exactly why I was going down there. Because I was a dumbass. So I was using a compass for exploration, right? So the compass always points me back to spawn. I had built a temporary house near spawn. So if I just followed the compass, I would eventually be within proximity of my house. So I go searching out, exploring, and I eventually find a place I like. Not as cool as the place I'm in now on my current world, but it was still pretty cool. Very mountainous, a village nearby, there was a cherry biome, so I was pretty pumped about it. But my dumb ass, right, I'm like, okay, I've got to keep the coordinates to this place. But instead of just, like, writing down the coordinates, like, going to just turning on the menu that gives you the coordinates, which I've had off the entire playthrough. You know what, we can just pretend it's like an extra challenge that I can't use. I forget what the menu is, honestly. It's one of the F keys. And so, instead of doing that like a normal person, I turn my fucking compass into a map so that I can always go back to it. But then I realize, then it hits me. I can't go back home because I don't have the compass that'll lead me back to spawn. So I'm like, all right, well, I've got some iron with me, but I don't have fucking redstone. And so I decide I need to go caving in order to find redstone. So I find this ravine. So, I've got my bucket of water, dump it down. And I'm like, all right, I'll just go down the water. But my impatient ass decides, well, I'll like go out of the water a little bit because it's a pretty steep drop. I'll go out of the water a little bit and then go back in. And it's like pooling at the bottom, so it'll be fine. But I like go out too far, lose control, and hit one of the blocks that isn't covered by water and die of fall damage.
Ooh.
What I thought was a safe bet.
I feel like dying to fall damage in Minecraft is always like the worst feeling.
It
Because
is.
like it's all the you get that brief period of time depending on how high your fall is of like, ooh yeah, it's GG's, it's unbelievably Jover.
Well, see, the thing is, I'm not used to playing on hardcore, and so on my new world that I really don't want to lose, I'm building a tower, and I fall off it, and I survive with 1 heart of health, and I'm like, all right, I'm an idiot. I dump buckets of water because remember, I'm on an island. I have infinite water. I
Yeah.
flood the entire island to make sure I don't die of fall damage.
That is smart.
I'm not letting it happen again. Because I want to build the tower taller, and so it'll eventually be tall enough to kill me. I've unflooded the island for now because I'm working on the interior, but I'm gonna flood that thing again once I add onto the walls more.
So I forget because I don't think I've ever tested it, but like as long as it doesn't matter how high you fall from, as long as you land in water, right?
Yeah, and it can be like any amount of water. It can be like a pixel deep of water, and you will take no damage.
Okay. I have to remind that it says I've never done a hardcore run in Minecraft before. Although I do have very fond memories when I was younger. You know the YouTuber Peanut Butter Gamer?
Yes.
He had this series on his video game his Let's Play channel where he did Minecraft hardcore runs with various other YouTubers. Like he did some with John Tron, Space Hamster, Pro Jared and the Completionist. This the great remember this like over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was always one of my favorites to watch. It was like watching like a YouTube drama series because like when they were all in a voice chat together and when they died they're removed from the call.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, so like their goal is to like just I think at first their first goal was just to get to the end and slay the Ender Dragon, but I think they had like different goals as the seasons went on, and it was always like you didn't want your favorite guy to die, and sometimes they would die like doing something stupid or like die trying to save someone else from multiple people in the group dying, and it was always like a big event like, oh shit, that's like one less point of like resource management and gain that we like a stream of revenue essentially that is gone now.
Sorry, I got distracted from a DM.
I'm just glad that you think
was an
what I have to
important
say is
DM.
so boring and uninteresting. Well, aside from Minecraft, what else have you been up to?
So the other games I've been playing, Geometry Dash as always, trying to make a level as always, and then the weird one is Osu, which I wish I could play more of.
Oh, Crunchy,
because-
you're completing
okay.
your femboy transformation.
So listen, Osu. Alright, so the thing it made me realize is that I am almost certainly a rhythm gamer at heart, because Geometry Dash has already been my addiction for a long time. I'm trying to beat Forest Temple by Michigan, which, if you don't know, is a pretty hard level, and like kind of like a rite of passage in the community. Like everyone has to beat Forest Temple at some point. It's one of the goats. And so I've been doing that. I've got like 64% on it, I'm pretty sure. So I'm doing pretty well for myself. I like games where, you have very few buttons to press, and it's all about timing them as specifically as possible and getting stuck on like a community made level for literal weeks. That's just overwhelmingly difficult, but then eventually you power through. Like that is a huge appeal to me. And so I already know that if I let myself if I let myself fall to the Osu beast, all my free time will be gone. I will never have a moment not playing Osu again. But I've resisted.
Got it. So
and
what
I've
you're
only
telling me is that I
played-
should buy you Hatsune Miku Project Diva on Steam and sap away all your free time.
Exactly. But for now, I'm limiting myself. I've probably played the game only like 3 or 4 hours. So I can already tell it can be an addiction. But I have stuff to do.
Speaking of games that have formed into addictions, unless you had anything else that was...
Yeah, no, I do not.
Oh, you do?
I said I do not.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear the not part. Yeah, well, speaking of games that have formed into addictions, I've been hooked on the Balatro train.
Oh, I've heard of that one. It's the card game, right?
Yeah, it's the poker roguelike, poker deck builder roguelike. And
I've
it
heard
is
of it. I do not know much about it.
how much do you know about poker?
None. Nothing.
Uh yeah, alright, so the best way I can explain it is that it's it exactly what it sounds like. It's a poker deck building roguelike where you start out with a common playing card deck of 52, and you get points based on poker hands. The more difficult the hand, the more points you get. And you're trying to meet certain point thresholds in order to progress, and it gets bigger and harder as it goes on. But in order to keep up with the increasing point thresholds, you're given cards that all bunch of different buffs. Like you can make some cards be worth more points when scored. You can increase how much a poker hand will give you, like flushes or straights or four of a kinds will give you more points than before if you level them up, if you get the right cards to do so. And the most dynamic one is the Joker system, where there's like over 100 different Jokers, which are all basically modifiers that give like their own rules, like and buffs. Like there's one card that makes it so that all black colored cards of spades and clubs count as the same suit, and all red colored cards, diamonds and hearts, count as the same suit, so you can make flushes more easily. You can get more point multipliers based on if you play a specific hand. You get more money that you can spend in the shop to buy more cards to add to your deck, or you can use special tarot cards to apply modifiers to your deck. Like you can buff up certain cards, you can destroy cards. That way, you can center a deck based on like searching out a specific card or card setup to get more points. And it is crazy addicting, especially if you are into poker and gambling like me.
I see. So you have the gambling genes.
Yes. I taught my dad how to play poker.
Look, all I'm saying is 99% of gamblers quit before they make it big.
You want to know the funny thing? You want to know how I learned how to play poker?
How?
Okay, so I doubt you, from given like what you told me about being able like to go to restaurants and going out to eat not as often as I do. I don't know if you'll relate to this, but have you ever been to like a Buffalo Wild Wings, or like one of those sports bars in the
Absolutely
2000s?
not.
This is I feel like this is like a dying breed. They don't really do this anymore. But there's these special restaurants that you go to that have these machines that they hand you. They're like the size of like little typewriters, but they will give you these things. I think it was called Buzz Time back in the day. And on some of the many screens that they'll have on throughout the entire restaurant, they'll have TVs set to play certain games. and the most popular one being Texas Hold'em, where you could play with other people in the restaurant who have these machines in front of them, and you would all play a game of Texas Hold'em. You wouldn't be betting real money, of course. It would all just be for fun. But you could do that with different restaurant patrons.
So what you're saying is they got you on the fast track to losing all your life savings on sports betting.
I mean, playing Texas Hold'em in sports betting is kind of like apples to oranges a bit, but I mean, I do also sometimes play poker with my friends for actual money in Discord, especially because there is a literally Texas Hold'em game in Discord.
See, I don't think I could ever get into gambling just because just because I think I'd lose money once and then be so frustrated that I'd never play again.
I mean, it is frustrating when you lose, especially if you're like me, was so close to hitting a 7-leg parlay in football, and you were just like 4 yards away from winning a $75. But it's whatever. Like, as long as you don't chase your losses and you don't bet like, all right, I'm gonna risk it all and get it all back. Because I've
man, if
so
you
far
risk it all, you can get everything. You can get a bunch of money. See that? Look, you got to do the risky bets because those are the ones that will pay off.
You know what? I never thought of it that way. Maybe I should put my entire life savings on
Personally, I think
on a
that is
20-leg
very
parlay.
advisable. I think you should do that. I think it would be
If I win, I'll be rich. I'll be a millionaire.
Exactly. When you think about it that way, it's like you're just putting money into your dreams, Neon, right? Think about it like how they market lottery tickets fucking predatorily.
You know it's always like the worst part that I irrationally think about though.
What is it?
Yeah, you'll always, like, every once in a while you'll see that one motherfucker online or something who'll post their 16-leg parlay of them putting down $1,000 and winning fucking like multi-millions.
Yeah, you just gotta block it out. Just block it out. Don't
It's hard.
let the brain worm
It's hard to
infect
do.
you.
Did I tell you about the $100 that I won in one single 3-leg parlay a couple weeks ago?
I feel like you probably did, but I just
Yeah, I
didn't
feel
have
like
the
I posted it
context to know
in
what it
Bagel
is.
Cord. It was on National Tight End Day in football, where for some reason it's like a superstition thing, but tight ends historically do the best on National Tight End Day. So I took a 3-leg anytime touchdown parlay between 3 different tight ends that was valued at odds of plus 4,457, I think. And I put down $3, one for each leg of the parlay. And I was like, yeah, I'll in the spirit of things, like, if I lose $3, boo-hoo, I've already won so much, it doesn't matter. Like, I can burn $3 if I lose. And then it won, and I won $100 from it, which was hot. But now, then there's always that encroaching voice that's always like, you stupid son of a bitch, if you put $100 on this, you would have won, like, literally thousands of dollars.
Listen, man, you gotta fight the voices. See, this is why I will never get into gambling, because I know.
You need
Like,
someone smart talking
it's-
in your ear like me, who will tell you all the good parlays to take that won't make you lose $100.
I feel like I should just avoid getting into it, period.
Yeah, well, anyways, back to Balatro. It is good. I will say, though, and I know this is kind of like not really a fault of the game itself, but just a pitfall of roguelikes in general, that the biggest flaw with the game is that the game is so heavily dependent on jokers for successful runs that if you run it, if you like start a game and you don't get good jokers by the end of like the second round, your run is pretty much already over, and you're either doomed to failure or you might as well just restart a new run, because if your jokers ain't good, then you ain't good.
Yeah.
And it's
Uh,
it's
I,
why I prefer games like when it comes to roguelikes, I prefer games like Hades, where hypothetically, if you were good enough, you could just beat the game with whatever it hands you. Whereas in Balatro, there's nothing like that. It's you either get the good shit or you lose.
yeah, meanwhile, I'm over here putting in like 7 hours into Geometry Dash levels.
I wonder if there's somehow a gambling ring around Geometry Dash.
I don't think you could do that. I mean, technically, they added RNG in 2.2, the ability to. People have made like awful levels with the random trigger.
I
There's
feel like that
someone
is
made.
the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So, okay, so theoretically, the random trigger is like fine on paper because GD added it's called platformer mode, right? So platformer mode, it basically turns it into like Mario, like a Mario style platformer where you don't run automatically. You can just you have time to breathe in and take in your surroundings.
Okay.
So if you're
I was gonna
crafting
say,
like
if it was
enemy
still on
AI,
like an auto scroller like GD usually is, and they added random elements, I'd feel like that would ruin the entire
well,
game.
see, you can add it to the auto scrollers. It's just
Why would
not
you do
made
that?
for it. Well, the reason why people do it so far, as far as I can tell, it's only for stuff like, Undertale's fun system, right? Something like that, where you just randomly get something, goofy happening in the decoration that is like, I don't know, like a 1 in 100 chance, something like that.
The
But
song that you
what
might hear when
people,
you fight Sans.
yeah, but people have realized that they can make it set to a trigger that will disable your clicks for however long. And so someone made a version of Retray, which is one of the easiest levels in the entire game, and also the single most liked level in the entire game, I'm pretty sure. And one of the most downloaded. So this level is like famous. If you've played GD, you've played Retray. And someone decided to make a level of a version of it where I think it's 1 in 4 clicks won't register, and it becomes like a nightmare to beat, one of the easiest levels in the game. And like it's purely a joke, obviously, but it just goes to show like how badly this can be abused if someone decided to do such.
Yeah, I'd feel like that if you the second you add RNG to especially the auto scrolling levels of Geometry Dash, it just becomes a troll level.
Yeah, which is why I can't think of any like actual level that has used it for gameplay. Because back in the day, GD colon did make like a randomly generated level. Well, this was before the random trigger. So the gimmick of that level was that he did it just through sheer knowledge of the game and also some programming knowledge, where you had a section at the beginning that, depending on your click pattern, would randomly generate the rest of the sections of the level. But they were like from a predetermined set of obstacles that you could face, which that was, pretty cool. And someone did something similar for a boss fight level. I forget what it was called, something like Serpent's Den. But it was a boss fight where its attacks would be randomly generated every so often. Like you'd have a section where your clicks, depending on how you did it, would predetermine what moves the boss would take. And it's like theoretically you could do the same clicks each time to make it so that, it does the same attacks each time, but it's within such a precise window that it's humanly impossible. But now that we have the random trigger, obviously that's been streamlined significantly. I'm just going on about Geometry Dash history at this point, so I'll just cut it off there. I know
uh,
too much about this game.
so I'm telling you, man, the GD documentary is coming one day. I know it's cooking up in your brain whether you realize it or not.
I do realize it, and I do want to make it. It's just a matter of doing such when my channel is in a position where I can take the risk.
Well, as far as other games I've been played, I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast. I know I mentioned that I was playing it, but I don't know if I ever said that I 100%ed Astrobot.
I know you said it on Discord, so I did know you did that.
Okay, well, yeah, just for the podcast, I did 100% Astrobot. It is so far my front runner for game of the year. It is incredible 3D platformer. It's 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 a lot of fan service, especially like there's so many fucking references that flew over even my head that I had to pull up when the whole game was done. I had to pull up a list to be like, okay, what are all of these different fucking references to these games? To be fair, some of them were Japanese exclusive, and that's why I never heard of them. But there was a lot of deep cuts, though. Surprisingly, I don't know how this happened. There was no Twisted Metal and no Final Fantasy VII referenced at all.
I do not know what Twisted Metal is, actually.
You've never heard of fucking Twisted Metal?
I've never heard of like half of the games everyone's heard about.
The vehicular car combat game?
Nope.
You know, Sweet Tooth?
You said vehicular, and my brain auto-completed it to manslaughter.
I mean, you do kill people in Twisted Metal, so... you've probably seen the video game character Sweet Tooth, the guy with, like, the clown mask whose scalp is on fire. He's, like, he drives an ice cream truck, has a giant machete.
Alright, I'm gonna look him up to see if I've
Look
seen
up,
him. Sweet Tooth.
Sweet Tooth, Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal. Nope. Don't think I've seen him.
You didn't hear about the Twisted Metal TV show that came out recently?
Nope.
That's crazy. Well, yeah, because that's a big PlayStation franchise that I don't think has gotten a new entry in a while, but still should have been big enough to be referencing fucking Astrobot. Yeah, there are a lot of deep cuts. The platforming is really fun. There's a bunch of cool power-ups. It has a awesome soundtrack and aesthetics. It's got charm oozing out of its ears. More like oozing out of its gears because it's all robot themed.
Damn that pun.
And I have yet to, granted I haven't played too many new games this year. Like I've heard people are gassing up Metaphor ReFantazio, Shadow Generations, FF7 Rebirth. But so far it's my frontrunner for game of the year, and I want Astrobot to become Sony's Mario.
Yeah, so here's a question. Have you continued Harry Potter yet in the month since we've done one of these sections?
Actually, no. We for no like active like avoiding of Harry Potter. We just haven't watched the next movie yet.
Look, your girlfriend.
We being my girlfriend and I.
She heard one distasteful Asian joke too many, and now she's done with it. She doesn't want to provoke the demons out of you.
No, actually, we started watching the Netflix version of a Series of Unfortunate Events.
I feel like I've definitely heard of the book. I feel like I've heard something about the Netflix version, but I forget if people think it's good or not.
According what my girlfriend says is that there's two adapted versions. There's the Jim Carrey movie from the 2000s, and then there was the Netflix series, which is a more faithful adaptation of the books.
Okay. So what do you think of it thus far?
I think it's really fun. The writing is the best part because it's all the characters are like there's like this intentional tonal dissonance between what is happening to all of the kids and like the way they describe it, because there's a narrator who doesn't interact with the characters but like is physically present within the world and is he frames himself as a guy who researched the story about the kids. Like, you know the story, what a series of unfortunate events is about, right?
I actually don't.
Okay, so it's about these 3 orphan children who their parents died, and they were super rich, and they left a big fortune for them when the oldest of the children becomes of age to inherit it. So they get taken in by one of their distant relatives named Count Olaf, who is the best character because he's just a goofy, ridiculous villain. And he is trying to take the fortune from them by any means that he can, and he will endanger a baby's life to do so. Although he's like very goofy, he's like a pseudo intellectual. He's the head of a theater group of like a bunch of goons.
Damn, goons and pseudo-intellectualism? Just like me for real?
There's a guy who has like hooks for hands, who plays the piano, and he's really funny. He always switches out his hooks for like utensils when he's eating food. Uh, it's-
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the vibe of this story.
yeah, the guy is always being like, he's always using words and grammar incorrectly, and always being corrected by the kids who are smarter than he is. Uh, and the narrator's always talking about like how, oh, it's like talking about like the worst, scariest thing like that could have possibly happened to a person has happened to these kids, and they're always being like, we advise you, like those of faint of heart, to please like turn off the show. Do not continue watching any further. And yet, like, there's no gore. There's no like the scariest thing that happens is that they a baby is held in a cage that is like hung precariously out the side of a building that could be dropped onto the ground. And like, yeah, like that is a bad thing, but like they make it out to be as like the worst thing that could happen to a person.
This actually sounds like something I want to read now.
yeah,
You're selling me on this.
yeah, Neil Patrick Harris. I know you don't really have a frame of reference for who that is. His claim to fame was being the main character of How I Met Your Mother. He plays Count Olaf, and his performance, while not quite as like he as much of like a character actor as Jim Carrey is, because that's Jim Carrey's whole shtick. The way he speaks and delivers all of Count Olaf's is like very charming. It's like you want to take him seriously as a villain, but he's like always being corrected by so many like people around him that's like they're always taking the piss out of him.
Just everything you've described, it sounds like this show's, and presumably the book's personality is right up my alley.
I think you would
find this
adore
hilarious.
both the books and the Netflix show.
Well, obviously I'm obligated to read the books just because I'm the novel guy.
There's a one of the constant running gags in the I think both the book and the show is that the youngest of the 3 orphans, who is a baby, even though because she's a baby, she can't like speak words, but all of her like baby talk is translated in subtitles, and she speaks as like the most like street smart, mature one of the 3.
That sounds great.
Like I don't mean to spoil it, but just to get a sense of what is happening. Like the guy with the hook hands is playing cards with the baby being hung inside the cage outside the building, and the baby beats the guy, and so the guy is forced to let her go. Like, what do you? And then when Count Olaf is like, "What the fuck? You were supposed to hold the baby out in the cage as hostage," and it was like, she beat me. I had to let her go. That was the rules we agreed to. Like, what rules? She can't speak.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so that's a whole lot of fun. We're a few episodes into the show. I like it a bunch, and my girlfriend is happy with yourself that I like it so much.
Yeah, because clearly it didn't happen with Harry Potter and it destroyed her.
Yeah, it's always fun it's always a gratifying feeling showing someone a thing that you like and they like it too, and it's like, yes, now it's a thing we have in common.
Successful red pilling.
Yeah, I showed her the first episode of Dandadan and she liked it, except for the part where the aliens abducted Momo, and she was like, why? Why they gotta do that to her though?
You know, this would be such a good transition into Dandadan if it weren't for the fact that we can't transition into Dandadan yet.
Yeah. I'll blaze through the remaining 3 things that we at least I checked out over the course of this past month that we've had like a regular episode. I went to go see The Nightmare Before Christmas with my girlfriend in theaters in special 4DX.
You know, strangely enough, I have never seen The Nightmare Before Christmas. I feel like I should watch it just because it's that big. But I have not.
I've seen it like collectively a couple times, but I never actually sat down and watched the whole thing from beginning to end before. Because like when I was younger, I would like watch bits and pieces of it on Disney Channel a bunch, but I never had the attention span as a child to watch the whole thing. Because those dang commercials, man, when you're a kid and one of the 3 major cartoon shows goes on commercials, you go, okay, Disney Channel's on commercial, I'm going to flip over to Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, and then vice versa for the other networks.
Yeah, so what did you think of it?
The animation's incredible. The aesthetic is iconic. The performances are also memorable. I kept thinking that fucking Jack Skellington was voiced by Johnny Depp for some reason, because like that's how much charisma he was giving off. But yeah, Jack Skellington is a very entertaining protagonist. All the sets are memorable. Like everything involving the animation and artwork is like untouchable. The everything else surrounding it though is kind of basic.
Like, is the plot just kind of whatever?
Yeah, the plot is like I assume you already know the story of A Nightmare Before Christmas, right?
I know the basic premise where Jack Skellington discovers Christmas and he's like, "What's this? What's this?"
Yeah,
I don't know how it ends or anything like that, or where it goes from there. But
yeah, the plot is kind of static. It's more of like a when they start like implementing Halloween into Christmas, nothing is like really gained by the end. Like the lesson of the story is just like it can basically be boiled down to, well, that was a fun midlife crisis. Back to what I do best now. Like literally the entire movie is Jack Skellington having a midlife crisis.
I mean, that's kind of based for a holiday movie, to be fair.
Yeah, like the romance
children.
is like incredibly and laughably forced. Sally is the OG femcel.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Last criticism. I was expecting you to play off that, like, but then I figured, oh wait, you probably don't know who Sally is.
No, you said that and like no mental image came to mind.
It's the Frankenstein girl from Nightmare Before Christmas.
I still don't know who she is.
What characters aside from Jack Skellington can you like think of when you think of Nightmare Before Christmas?
So anyway,
can you really only think of Jack? You can't think of Oogie Boogie?
I've literally never seen this movie.
Nah, you've seen clips of it. You saw, what's this?
I've seen What's This, and I saw like the intro to it at some kind of Halloween dance thing. And
yeah, like this is Halloween. You should remember character designs from that. You should remember the mayor, whose face his head spins around. He's got 2 different faces.
You're reaching deep into like childhood memories of a movie that I was barely paying attention to.
I do recommend it. It is a fun. Of course, the most objectively correct way to watch it is watch it on Thanksgiving, the midpoint between the two holidays.
True.
Uh, yeah. The last criticism I have of it though is that which my girlfriend ended up agreeing with me with is that all of the songs like sound the fucking same. Like there's no all the melodies sound the same. All the instruments they play are like the same tone. There's barely any difference between them. Like the only unique songs are "This Is Halloween," "What's This," and Oogie Boogie's song. Like every other song sounds exactly the same as "This Is Halloween."
How many songs are there?
Let me try to remember. There's "This Is Halloween." I think Jack sings a song about him being like having his midlife crisis. What's This? They sing a song about Jack sings a song about explaining what Christmas is to the people of Halloween Town. Uh, then the song where they make the Halloween in Christmas. The three kids singing about kidnapping Santa Claus. I think Sally sings a song about Jack. Oogie Boogie song. And then I think there's a reprise of "This Is Halloween" and Jack and Sally singing at the end, and like
So
half the
basically a
soundtrack sounds the
fuckload.
same.
Yeah, all right. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm basically obligated to check it out someday. But
yeah. It's if you anyone who like loves stop motion animation, it's a must watch because that's the one thing that is not aged a fucking day.
yeah, what number score did he give it? I'm
I
assuming
I would give it a 7
6.
out of 10 because like overall the
7. All
movie's
right.
good. It's just that the plot is like very static. The songs sound the same. The romance is forced. Like the only interesting character in the entire thing is Jack, and even then, by the end of it, he's just kind of like, all right, I've had my fun. I'm over it. He doesn't really learn anything. He just like has his midlife
These are
crisis.
some damning criticisms for a 7 out of 10.
I mean, everything like, dude, the animation fucking hard carries it. Like it single-handedly
fair.
spawned Hot Topic.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, so there's that, and then I watched it in 4DX, which have you ever seen a movie in 4DX before?
Mm, actually, oh god, this must have been like way back when I was a kid. It was some fucking No, I'm mixing up a memory. That was like some fucking zoo.
Yeah,
No,
it's
I don't think
basically
so.
they put you in like seats that can be like rocked back and forth, that they can shake, they can vibrate, mist and water and smoke will spray. The it's not really worth the extra ticket price, especially if you excuse me, ooh. Especially if you value the theater experience to the extent of you just want to be immersed in the movie and like watch the whole thing unfold on the big screen. Uh it is the second movie that I watched in 4DX, the first one being the third My Hero Academia movie just for shits and giggles, just to see what it was like. And like the only cool thing that happened in the 4DX showing is that during a scene with a bunch of fog that rolls in, a fog rolls in the actual theater, like at the bottom of the screen. Like that was cool, but like not worth paying $8 extra on your ticket for.
Yeah. I mean, $8 extra sounds like a pretty steep price to pay for something that and I feel like it would just take me out of the movie. I feel like it would just
Uh
remind me, "Oh yeah, I'm in a theater."
oh yeah, my chair is being rocked back and forth. It's like it's kind
How
of like one of
mildly
those.
annoying.
It's kind of like they're emulating those 3D rides at Universal, like the Transformers ride or the Jimmy Fallon ride, where they put you in like a seat that moves back and forth, except for in those 3D rides, like the track that you're on, it actually like moves around a bit, whereas the seats are stationary. Like you'll never be physically moved forward. You'll just be like shaken and thrown about.
Yeah, well, so much for speedrunning this. What are the other two things you watched?
These ones will be much faster. Back to the Future Part 2, I saw with my girlfriend in theaters. I had never seen it before because I had seen the first one during COVID in theaters when they did a special limited screening of it to celebrate its 35th anniversary, I want to say, or 40th.
I don't fucking know.
I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and say you've never seen the Back to the Future trilogy before.
No.
Okay, well, I do recommend that, especially the first one. The first one is like a peak 80s movie. It's like everything you could want for in an 80s movie and more. It's like a peak maximum comfy 80s movie.
Yeah, so
The
what
second
about the
one, not
second
quite
one?
as good, but I can't wait to watch the part 3 and the finale. I will say, the ending of Back to the Future Part 2 has one of the ballsiest, you straight up can't do this anymore type shit I've ever seen in a theater, in a movie before. Where, when they were making it, when the movie was released, they were already, because they knew they came into it in mind, they wanted to make a trilogy. And they were like, all right, we're gonna make this a 3-part movie. By the time part 2 is done and being put in theaters, we'll have already begun working on part 3, which will come out the very next year. And so at the very end of Back to the Future Part 2, before the credits roll, they give like a minute long teaser of a sneak peek of Back to the Future Part 3. And that is like the coolest shit ever. Like, imagine like you're seeing like a movie nowadays that's like, hey, the sequel is coming soon. Here's a teaser for it. Like, you just straight up can't do that now anymore with the way Hollywood's run.
I mean, yeah, like how would you even fit that in before, or is it like right before the credits, like after the
Yeah, it's
movie's
like right
already
before the
over?
credits. Like,
Okay,
the
yeah,
ending of the
that's
movie
cool.
happens, and then it's like stay like to be concluded in Back to the Future Part 3, summer of next year. And like they show like finished like shots from the movie in a teaser sequence of like all these different things that'll happen, and it's so fucking cool. I had never seen Back to the Future Part 2 until then, so I thought that was like a not GKIDS, Fathom Events announcing it, being like, hey, we're gonna do Part 3 in theaters next year. But then I saw the summer 1990 thing. It's like, wait, is that like, was that in the original cut of the movie? And my girlfriend's like, yeah, that's how it was.
Yeah, that is pretty badass, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, Back to the Future trilogy so far is a banger, and I can't wait to see part 3 in theaters for the first time with my girlfriend next year.
All right, what's the final of this trilogy of things you saw?
The final thing is the week that I spent trying to get into Pokemon TCG Pocket.
Well, I'm assuming from trying to get into, it did not work.
Unfortunately, it was not as good as I was hoping it would be. In fact, it kinda is poopy.
So, is this like another attempt at a time waster game for work?
It
If I had to
was,
guess.
because as much as I am like, I still do some Balatro runs from here and there, but the honeymoon phase is gone, and I'm no longer playing it nearly as often as I was. Like, I bought Slay the Spire recently, and I've started playing that. I've only done one run so far, but I did it just to break up the, okay, I'm getting a little bored of Balatro, so let's do something else now. Uh, so yeah, when Pokemon TCG Pocket was announced way back, like I think earlier this year, I was like, oh boy, that could be fun. Like, I thought it was gonna be more like the Pokemon TCG equivalent of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I didn't mean to bump the mic there. Sorry if that got picked up. Uh, but then it turns out it's more of a streamlined version of the Pokemon trading card game, where instead of like a full-on battle, like the battles are more simplified. It's first to 3 points instead of first to 6 points. And in doing so, they've streamlined the TCG card game to the point where it's not really fun, and kind of wildly unbalanced too.
Well, to be fair, that last point is true to the actual card game, so...
I mean, yeah, I know, like, there's power creep out the ass in Pokemon TCG, but, I'm talking just, like, because, like, the cards that they're put in the game, I think are either ones that they've taken from the current TCG and have just, like, rebalanced to fit the 3-point format, versus, how it is. But and like they've probably retooled their numbers because like I know that there are current Pokemon cards of the TCG that have health going into the 300s, whereas like the highest health count I've seen in the Pocket version is like 180, I think, that it caps out at. Although it doesn't really matter because it's still broken to fuck.
Yeah, so, like, how bad is it? Like...
Okay, so for one thing, the PvP is not worth it in the slightest because you get I cannot believe this is the case. You get 0 awards from doing PvP.
Why?
Why? You don't you like you don't get a damn thing. Like the closest thing you get to like a reward out of it is that there's a thank you system where it's like if you play with someone at the end of it, regardless of whether you win or lose, you can send a thank you, and a thank you will get them like 1 currency to use in the shop. Although you can just simply not say thank you and they will receive nothing. So essentially you get nothing for PvP. You're not guaranteed rewards. And even then, the one thing that your opponent could choose to give you is like what is tantamount to a penny in value.
Yeah, so sounds pointless.
Yeah, there's basically no point in playing PvP. Maybe they'll change that in the future where they'll give you like PvP rewards. So I was like, okay, if there's no point in playing the PvP, I'll do the single player CPU battles. The CPU battles are on the higher difficulties are some of the most blatantly unfair, broken things I've ever seen in my life.
What, do the CPUs pull a Mario Kart and just cheat?
I'm very much convinced that they do. So let me
that
give
was
you
a
an
joke. I didn't expect you to say yes.
No, I'm dead ass convinced. So let me tell you a little tale. So there are missions in that can give you actual rewards, like good rewards if you complete them in the single player CPU battles. They're pretty manageable in the regular difficulties. I can't remember if there's 4 or 5 levels of difficulties. I want to say 4. There's 4 difficulty levels. There's beginner, intermediate, advanced, and master. I did all of the missions on beginner to advanced in all 7 CPU battles that you can do per difficulty. So then I got to master, and the only way what's bullshit already about master that pissed me off was that the missions in those are blatantly unfair. Like they're in order to get the rewards, you have to handicap yourself. And case in point, one of the missions is that you have to beat a master difficulty deck using a deck that consists of exclusively Pokemon of the of type disadvantage. So like if you're playing the water deck, you have to play a fire deck.
Yeah, next they're gonna tell you to use a full team of fucking Magikarp.
And so in doing so, not only are you instantly already put at a massive disadvantage, but then the CPUs will just straight up cheat. Or at the very least, their decks are designed to the point where they can pull out their best card instantly. Like the thing that made me quit the game and actually uninstall it. I was trying to beat and this was using my best deck. I was like, all right, fuck the handicap rules. I'm gonna try to see if I can beat the deck at all using the best deck that I have with the cards that I pulled. And it was a pretty good deck. It was a Dragonite Draco Meteor deck, which is which is pretty good. And my opponent was running a Charizard EX and Moltres EX card. So for one thing, how familiar are you with the Pokemon TCG before I decide how long of a rant this should be?
I know the gist of it, like, you use energies to use attacks, and you evolve over time, but as a kid, I never followed the rules of the TCG, because they were too complicated for me, and I didn't care, and so I would just fight people based on made-up rules. So, like, broad strokes, yes, but, like, intricacies, no, not at all.
Okay, so TLDR, the way Pocket is set up is that you can run 20 card decks. You can have no more than 2 copies of the same card in your deck. And you need to you first of all, it feels like going for second is way better than going first, because if you go first, you can't attach an energy to your Pokemon. But if you go second in the TCG, in Pocket, you can attach an energy first. So basically, you get to attack first, and like I can't imagine that I can't think of a disadvantage of going the second. Like, it just seems like an advantage. So, but even then, that whole thing aside, for whatever reason, you are allowed to have 2 EX cards in your deck, 2 of the same EX card, which shouldn't be a thing. You should really only have 1 EX card, because they're so broken, especially if you run strategies that like fuel into them. Case in point, when I played the Charizard EX and Moltres EX Master Difficulty CPU battle, 5 times in a row, I've fought it 5 times in a row. Every fucking time it would start the game by playing Moltres EX off rip.
And I assume just wipe you out while you're still in first stage.
Yeah, because what Moltres EX does, it has this ability, once you attach 1 energy to it, where you can flip as many coins as you I forget. There's like flip 3 coins, and you get 1 extra fire energy you can spread throughout your bench per heads that you get. So let's say that you are super lucky or super cheating like the AI does, and it draws its Moltres and it draws its Charmander. So that way that it can just evolve into Charizard EX, which can do like, it has a move that's strong enough to like basically one-shot every Pokemon in the game, at the cost of a move that uses, once you use it, it like discards 2 energy off your Pokemon, but you get it back so quickly that by the time you try to set up your own Pokemon to counterattack, it doesn't matter. So Moltres can just like near infinitely fuel it, especially when they cheat and put it out like immediately. And then say you also have your second Moltres EX on your bench that is getting the fuel from it. You can simply retreat your 1 Moltres that only has like the 1 fire energy attached to it, then sub in the other Moltres that has like 3 fire energy already on it, and either use its attack, which is like a super powerful, strong attack that's strong enough to one-shot most Pokemon in the game, or keep fucking using the ability that fuels other fire-type Pokemon.
So is there any reason why putting out Moltres first would be cheating?
Well, for one thing, it's hard to counter an EX card off rip if you don't have one of your own. Like,
But it's not cheating, is what you're saying.
yeah, so like, okay, here, let me put this into perspective.
You're saying it's bullshit instead of cheating.
It might as well be cheating, because like fucking, how the fuck do you draw it 5 times? Literally, the game opened, the first card that you play down before the game technically starts, in his opening hand of the CPU, always had a Moltres EX 5 times in a row. What are the fucking odds of that?
So is the deck like pseudo randomized?
I'm convinced.
What you?
I'm convinced. Like, how the fuck do you get it 5 times in a row in your opening hand?
So hold on. Okay, so yeah, you draw the cards randomly.
Yeah, I think you start with like 3 or 4 cards in your first hand, and so. Okay, what was that? That's like that's a 1 in 5 chance 5 times in a row.
Look, man, it's just dream luck. It's just it's just dream luck, okay?
And then also, because Moltres is only weak to electric type and not water type, the only way to counter it is throw in an electric type card into your deck. And because it's a fucking EX, the only way to counter it would be to utilize one of the strong. I think Pikachu EX at the time of recording is the only EX card in the deck. Maybe there's a Zapdos EX that I'm forgetting about, but I didn't have a Zapdos EX because you don't just get handed EX cards, you have to pull them. I was lucky to pull the Pikachu EX, and even then, Pikachu EX is completely reliant upon an electric type deck where he can only do 90 damage per 2 energy attack if you have electric Pokemon on your bench. So basically, you have to run an electric deck just to counter Moltres. But if you're doing that, you can't counter the Charizard EX with water.
So basically, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're
You
constantly
just
at a
have to hope for a
disadvantage,
good
and it's
pull.
blatantly unfair.
And then you rage quit.
Basically. I was
Yeah, I
hoping
mean,
the TCG would be more like how it is now. I was hoping this would be more like the Pokemon TCG equivalent of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, where it's just like straight up a Pokemon TCG simulator, but it's more like the Pokemon TCG equivalent of Duel Links, where it's like a diet light version of it.
I mean, I guess technically another game I'm playing right now is Pokemon Unite, which you were there for.
Yeah. Apparently, Pokemon Unite is due for a massive like revamping that's gonna make it like more easier to understand.
It's already pretty easy to. Well, okay, the game itself is pretty easy to
The presentation
understand.
rather.
Thank God, the presentation is a nightmare. I hate that's like the single biggest problem with the game, because there's a billion different menus. The UI is endlessly confusing. There's like 10 different currencies, a billion different systems. It's doing the mobile game thing. It's so obnoxious.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know
overloading
what
you to the
half the
point where it's like
menus do.
you're gonna throw money at it just to make it make sense.
I literally don't know what half the menus do. I just go onto the game itself and play it, and then, not gonna lie, like most of the most of the appeal of the game for me, unironically, is just dressing my character, just getting clothes to make her look cuter. That's it's just dress up simulator with Pokemon attached to it.
Yeah, hopefully.
Which is
when
weird
that
because in
update-
the actual games, I did not care about dressing my character at all. It's just that in Unite, I just suddenly got the urge to. So maybe I need to revisit the games where you can actually dress your character. The last time I played the 3D games was
in the
when I was
one
14.
Pokemon game where you see your trainer like even less than you do in the actual games.
Look, man, I just had to make her a cutie patootie, right? I had to. The masculine urge.
But yeah, that's what we've been up to, and that's been at over an hour.
Wow, we're so concise. Let's hope the
It's
news
been a
goes by
month.
quicker. It has in fact been a month.
Maybe we could blow through the news and just give.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I wouldn't count on it. You're gonna
I mean,
you
there's
say
some
we're
stories
gonna
that are
blow
bigger
through
than
the news,
others.
and then someone's gonna check the timestamp, and it's gonna be like an hour of news, and they're gonna be like, "Yeah, okay, sure, man."
We're not gonna be able to post this on r/anime because it won't be 51% anime talk.
Uh-oh. Even though it's called Castaway Anime.
Alright, so yeah, first story. Nintendo alarm clock.
Yeah, so this is an old cut. I remember you telling me about this way back, where
Yeah,
you can get woken up.
This was
to
over a month
Nintendo
ago,
sounds.
but I feel like it's still necessary to talk about because, like, actually, what the fuck?
Yeah, so I guess you can explain it since you were the one who explained it to me.
Yeah, so Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo. It is a alarm clock with, I think it was an infrared sensor that detects movement in whatever you put in front of it. And The way it's set up is that it's supposed to not exactly watch you in your sleep, but like detect movement on the vision itself. Like if you point it the face at your bed, it will to see if you like toss and turn in your sleep or not. And if you once it hits the alarm that you set, it will start playing Nintendo music. And if you toss and turn as you're getting up, it'll play noises. Like for example, if you set it to the Mario theme song, then as you like it detects that you're rolling over to like wake up, it'll play like coin noises. And the longer that you wait past your alarm, the more intense the music will become. Like I think it'll transition from, World 1-1 to the sped up like 100 seconds left version of it.
Yeah, so see, I'm not sure how I feel about the idea of, even though it's infrared and it's not actually watching you technically, feels like you remember, I'm sure you remember, back in the day when people were afraid their Kinects were spying on them because they
Yeah.
were going to be on all the time for the Xbox One. Feels kind of like that, except we've gotten used to it now.
I mean, at least with Alarmo, I don't think that it has a way to transmit its infrared feed to someone else. Although, I don't know how hackable this thing is. I've seen someone already get Doom to play on it.
I mean, to be fair, it is the golden rule of Doom. You have to play it on everything. So
Every
that
electronic
guy's
device
based.
must be able to play Doom. It is a benchmark.
Fuck.
Uh,
That's actually a good video idea. Weirdest things Doom has been played on. I'm gonna write that down.
I would bet dollars to donuts that's already been made. And I know it was already
It
talked
probably
about.
has been, but
I know it was already talked
I
about just
still
on the
think it would be
AVGN episode
cool.
of Doom.
I have not seen that actually.
It's one of my favorite AVGN episodes because he plays all of the Doom 1 ports to consoles and ranks them and like determines which one's the best one. All because the joke is that because he has a Commodore 64, the one thing that can't run Doom because it's so primitive.
I have seen shockingly little of AVGN, but before we get on a tangent here,
Yeah,
back
we
on
won't,
topic.
we won't dive down that rabbit hole for the sake of time. Uh, yeah, I mean, and Alarmo's not just limited to Mario. I think there's like, I know there's Splatoon. I think there's Animal Crossing and Pikmin and maybe Zelda. But like, yeah, I know in Splatoon, like it'll play like a Splatoon song, and instead of coin sounds, it'll be the sound of like the gun shooting out ink, going.
Well, see, the thing is, right? Even with the sound effects and the infrared and all the tech, which is clearly there because the obvious thing anyone would think of when seeing this product would be, well, why don't I just use the alarm on my phone to play Nintendo music? Why wouldn't I just do that?
I think the idea that they're going for is to make it more like, it's, hey, we're gonna make waking up fun. So that way you wake up, you're already like immersed in Mario or Splatoon or your favorite Nintendo game.
Which you pointed
And
out is subtly dystopic.
yeah, like I mean, if you're a kid, if you're a kid and you were given this as like an alarm clock to get up for school, I'd be like, okay, I mean, I guess that could be a fun thing to wake up to. If I were like 8, I think this would be like a cool thing to have. I'd be jealous of other kids that would have it. As a grown ass man, like I don't want the first thing that I wake up to be like I'm already immersed into the Nintendo think tank.
Well, see, you talk about how, is this gonna make waking up fun? Waking up is never fun. Waking up is always a tormentous nightmare. You will never make it even remotely enjoyable for me. I mean,
Yeah,
I've been ripped out of my deep, dreamy slumber into the harsh realities of the real world and all the stress therein. You'll never make it fun. It's always horrible.
Yeah, there's no. I feel as a grown adult, there's no winning here. Like if I wanted to be like subjected to a video game or like to IP the first thing when I wake up, I'll set my phone to my current phone alarm right now is Bramble Blast remix from Super Smash Brothers Brawl, just because it's one of my favorite like pieces of music of all time, and I do
For a
think it's like
while,
some.
my phone alarm was actually the Francis theme from Super Paper Mario, which you've definitely heard it if you've seen my videos before. It's a banger.
I can. It's not ringing a bell off the top of my head, but I probably have heard of it at some point, and just
Da,
cannot
da,
recognize it
da,
as the
da,
Francis
da,
theme.
da, 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 da. Does that ring a bell?
Damn it, not really, but I'll look into it
It's
later.
it's such a banger. It's literally like my favorite boss theme of all time. Which is weird because it's literally the boss theme for the otaku gecko, who has a massive crush on Peach. Literally, you enter a dating show with him. Like, it's great.
Well, yeah, that pretty much does it for Alarmo. It's basically a dystopic nightmare for capitalism. Like let me at least have my being able to wake up. Let me have that. Don't take that away from me. Don't make that part of the
Actually,
slave.
please take that away from me. I don't want to wake up.
See, they were doing it all wrong. If they wanted to make an alarm clock where it would like interact with your like movement, just make it set to cute anime girl noises.
No, what they should do instead is the rock remix of Wally's theme from Oraz to make every time you wake up, it like triggers a flight or fight response in you. And you're like, oh my god, wait, I gotta do it right now. You like get panicked first thing.
If they ever add Pokemon to it, if you want to get people to wake up with this thing, just play the Cynthia battle theme, but purposefully make it slow at first. Like make a special remix of it where it's not its usual tempo. It's like it's slower. And then it's like as you are moving around, it'll gradually pick up in pace and tempo, and if it goes past like too far your alarm, then it goes into like like even faster than normal to really trigger your
I
fight
have
or
seen
flight
that
response.
video in my recommended how Cynthia's theme traumatized a generation.
Speaking of Pokemon, what a beautiful transition, by the way.
Oh no.
The Game Freak Gigaleak. Or yeah, actually no, I don't know if it's even a giggle.
I'm gonna reenact what my experience with the leak was. Oh hey, Pokemon's trending. Oh, Game Freak leak? Okay, I bet we're getting some beta Pokemon. I mean, I love beta Pokemon. They're really interesting, and, you know, I love seeing the history of one of my childhood Typhlosion did what?!
Typhlosion is fucking over, party.
First day of the leaks, one of the first things on my timeline was Typhlosion and Hypno doing the sex offender shuffle.
What? I'm trying to get my
animated.
story straight. I'm trying to get my story straight here because I saw a 4chan post of like allegations beaten of like good name restored. Like everyone apologized to Hypno. Like I was trying to find if Hypno confirmed beat the allegations.
Oh, there's also accusations about octillery, I think it is.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact nature of them, but I know it was something.
I think the story it's like a folklore story in Pokemon, according to the cut content here, where a guy threw it was either I forget if it was a Remoraid that evolved into an Octillery that he just recognized as the same one, or an Octillery that he like made love with. I don't know. Moral of the story, he had sexual relations with the Octillery.
I did not have sexual relations with that octopus. The Octopussy did not tempt me.
I did not get my rocks off inside that Octopussy.
Yeah, so bestiality in Pokemon. Let's talk about that.
I mean, it's always been low-key implied, even in, like, actual canon shit, like how, the Machamp fangirl club of, you know about that, right?
I've definitely heard of it. And I know
Yeah,
it's been implied before.
But yeah. Never before has it been so, direct. And possibly even, illegal. Non-consensual, one might say.
Well, I mean, it was illegal with or without consent. I mean, how intelligent are... I mean, I know some of them are, like, super intelligent. So, that would be the Pokemon grooming the human. And if it's Alakazam we're talking about, probably.
Listen, all I'm saying is that maybe we have to put Typhlosion higher up on our tier list now, given light of recent events.
You know, a while ago, I saw, like, the super wholesome Typhlosion art on my timeline of just, like, a Typhlosion and their trainer by a campfire, and I'm like, you're trying to restore Typhlosion's good name, aren't you? Like, this is deliberate, but you're never gonna do it. The allegations cannot be beat.
You know what sucks too? It had to have been a starter Pokemon. Cause like if it were fucking I don't know, Druddigon, a Pokemon no one gives a fuck about, no one would care. It'd be a funny meme thing. But because it had to be a starter, that everyone has an opinion about Pokemon starters. Now,
what's even weirder is that Typhlosion, specifically, I'm pretty sure, did it to an underage girl. In Pokemon Crystal, you can literally play as an underage girl with the Typhlosion, so...
Listen, man, those lonely nights in, fucking... How the fuck am I blanking on a Johto? Literally any Johto city. Eucrectic Town or whatever. Sometimes you need any port in a storm.
Yeah, so, Typhlosion is rough. The thing is, right, I haven't looked into the leaks too much, but there are a shit ton of beta Pokemon, which are usually my thing. When I was 12, literally, I had a vlogging channel. All videos are deleted, by the way. You cannot find them. Even I cannot find them. They are that deleted. I don't have them saved anywhere, but my profile picture for that was Hanokuma, I'm pretty sure is the name. Literally, I think it literally translates to something like Fire Bear, which it was the original Fire Johto starter, without the allegations this time. And Hanokuma is adorable, in my opinion. I think he should have made the cut, personally. So I've always been a little obsessed with beta Pokemon. And I should be obsessed with the beta Pokemon leaks right now, because it's probably the biggest one of them ever. But certain events have overshadowed it slightly.
Yeah, like as much cool news as could come out of like potential future Pokemon games, you just can't really overlook Typhlosion being a rapist. Kind of hard to sweep that one under the rug.
Would be a good video idea. I should write that down too, or something to do with beta Pokemon.
Ooh, you should do a ranking every beta Pokemon.
I literally just said that.
Oh, I didn't hear the ranking part. I just heard you say, "Ooh, I should make a video about beta Pokemon."
Ranking every beta Pokemon. Which ones are alpha? So, yeah, that might be a future video. We'll see. Well, we shall see. Hopefully, it would be easy. That's my idea, because I'm tired of these long projects, which every video I do is. But we're off topic again. I'm off topic specifically.
Yeah, right now I'm looking at all the like the beta designs. Like I'm looking. Oh god, Beta Whalerin and Beta Celio. They look naked without their details. Like Beta Whalerin didn't have like the hair that it used to.
Yeah, where are you looking at?
Here, let me drop this in the server real quick. I tried to go back onto the account that leaked it. Apparently a bunch of it, Centro Leaks, yeah. They got copyright struck to hell. Like, even their more recent tweets from a couple days ago have been removed, by copyright enforcement. But, there's an archive, and if you click on highlights, yeah, you could, see all the archives.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
Well, what's the oh god?
I'm looking at what is either probably Mewtwo, Y, Mega Mewtwo Y alternate design, or Mew 3. I want to believe this is Mew 3 that I'm looking at.
Here, send it to me.
Let me see if I can copy the image. It looks too similar to Mega Mewtwo Y for me to be sure, but I like to believe that's Mew 3.
That looks horrible. That is unbelievably ugly. Yeah, I would not want... I'm glad we didn't get that. Although, to be fair, Mega Mewtwo X, I think, is the one with the tail on its head, is still pretty grotesque.
Yeah. I mean, I like Mega Mewtwo Y. I like its Majin Buu tentacle.
Mega Mewtwo. I'm gonna get both of them up, because I do know that the other Mega Mewtwo is much better.
I think I prefer Y to X. Actually, it kind of looks like this is a fusion of both. Now that I look, it's got like the broader shoulders of Mega Mewtwo X.
I don't like either of them. I'm looking at it. I don't like either of them. Look at the fucking eggplant feet on Mega Mewtwo Y.
Hold on. Let me pull up another image.
Literally
of Mega Mewtwo Y.
drooping eggplant toes.
Mega Mewtwo Y. Okay, yeah, that I'm not a fan of, but
I feel like they almost cooked, and then they didn't cook hard enough.
You know, I mean, perhaps you're right.
Or maybe they cooked too much. Oh my, wait, you just... Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, this is a cut Pokemon entirely. It's a little peanut dragon guy.
I love him.
I love him too, and I'm sad he's not real. He comes out of his shell.
You know what this feels like? This feels like the an evolution line for Tropius. Almost.
Ooh, you know what?
Because, I mean, I know it's got like its own
vision.
gimmick going on. Like, with a few changes, that would be the evolution line for Tropius that Tropius deserves.
I kind of see the vision. Yeah, right now I'm just scrolling through all the things.
Now you're convincing me to do the ranking every beta Pokemon video.
Well, see, that's not even a beta Pokemon. That's just straight up a cut Pokemon entirely.
Ranking every unused Pokemon is...
Ooh, that would be good.
I
yeah,
feel like I need to do that now.
Yeah, and I think plans for games got leaked too. Like, there might be a Pokemon MMO in the future. Gen 10 is coming, but that's not
Gen 10 Ultimate Alien.
we know that's coming. The idea of a Pokemon MMO is intriguing, but that's all we really know about it. But yeah, the Pokemon Tera leak situation is crazy.
Yeah, so I will look into these someday. That is what I will do. And maybe December video. We'll see. It does kind of fit with the new internet lore aspect of my channel, so I'm not above it.
Let's see. Next story. We'll cover the GKIDS one near the end as a nice transition. Talk about anime. So we'll keep on the video game discussion right now. Concord is more dead than previously thought possible.
It is dead.
It is
Uber
dead demons destruction dead.
Quite literally.
Yeah,
so all right, you can take it away.
Yeah, Sony has closed Concord Studio Firewalk and has permanently shut down the game. It's never coming back. And they've shuttered the entire studio that made it. That they bought, by the way, for millions of dollars. Just to be like, because they wanted Concord and they thought it would be the next big thing. Yeah. How'd that turn out for them?
Yeah, it is what it is. You know, I'm still not entirely sure, like, what was so awful about Concord? Aside from the designs, which I know we went over in a prior episode, yeah. But,
Yeah,
like, what was the gameplay like?
I've heard actually that the gameplay was just kind of like average, like it wasn't like egregiously bad or anything. It was just an uninspired corporate slop hero shooter. It was trying to be like, oh, what if we made our own version of Overwatch, but it was like cool, like Guardians of the Galaxy Marvel cool.
And then they just didn't make something that resonated with anyone.
No, I think because people saw right through it. No one gave a shit because people like saw it for the slop that it was. It was clearly trying to ape off the vibe and like aesthetic of Guardians of the Galaxy, but without having like nearly any of like the clever writing or good designs.
Well, definitely not the designs.
And so that's why it didn't even have like 1,000 people on its launch, and they had to shutter it after like a week or something, and now it's dead.
Yeah, I've seen tons of videos in my recommended being like, here's how Concord failed. I haven't clicked on any of them. You think I have time for that shit? Well, I say that, but I had time for Summoning Salt's new video. I made time for it.
Yeah, like the whole thing just reeks of it's like that whole thing of like you say like, oh, you think you could run a multi-billion-dollar company better than these people who were like trained, like went to school for it probably, and it's like, yeah, I probably could have. Like I couldn't do worse.
True, you couldn't do worse.
I don't think I would have, if it were me, I would have been like, hey, let's not do Concord, or if we're gonna do Concord, let's let's not let it get as far as it did. Let's take it back to the drawing board, maybe. I would have looked at the character designs and be like, are you fucking serious? Is this a practical joke?
Well, see, you're thinking about that from like an artistic perspective. Counterpoint. The people who get into these positions think about it purely from a business perspective of what they think will resonate with people.
Yeah, and how that
or not even
business turned out
resonate
for
with
them.
people, but just what will be consumed. Doesn't even have to resonate. Just
Yeah, and how did that turn out
consumed.
for them?
Not well. Not well.
Almost as
I
if
mean,
maybe
hey,
they should
Donkey is
consider.
unironically running his game studio better, so so maybe you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, Animal Well is a contender for Game of the Year. At the time of recording, Game Award nominees have not been out yet, but if you're going off like Metacritic review scores, I'm pretty sure by user counts and by critics, I'm pretty sure you'll find Animal Well in like the top 10 of both.
Almost certainly.
So
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
hey,
you can
that
in fact
one-
do it yourself. And maybe people were trying to hate ride Donkey for being like, oh, I'm gonna run this like well, and because I know what the good games are and what the bad games are. And everyone was giving him shit when he announced it, being like, oh my god, he's so full of himself, like what a pompous asshole. And then his first published game is a Game of the Year contender.
Well, there you go. It's oh how the turntables, as they say.
Yeah, so we've covered the Concord situation a couple times throughout the podcast. This is where the story ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper and a loss of many jobs and millions of dollars just up in flames.
Yeah, I mean, think about it like this. Concord has single-handedly funded literal months of content for shitty video essay channels. How Sony lost $8 quintillion.
Concordillion dollars.
Concordillion. There we go.
And still the funniest thing at the end of it, at the end of this whole thing, is Secret Level, the Amazon Prime Video and video game anthology series. I think it's still gonna have its Concord episode. I don't think I've heard any news saying that they're gonna cut it.
I wonder if Sony is looking for ways to have it cut. To just sweep it under the rug and be like, yeah, it didn't happen. Didn't happen.
Watch the Concord episode of Secret Level somehow be really good, and that's what gives people like interest in Concord.
Only for it to be completely shut down.
Oh my god, what if we could all do the funniest thing when Secret Level comes out? We should all gas the Concord episode to high heaven. Make a bunch of memes about it, just like Morbius, and that'll convince Sony to bring Concord back for a limited time, just like they did with Morbius in theaters, and then we all not play it again.
And then they'll lose even more millions of dollars. I actually like this plan.
Yeah, so that's how the Concord saga ends. Very sad, very avoidable. Anyone with eyes could have seen the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Speaking of eyes and writing on the wall, while we're still somewhat on the topic of video games before we transition into this nice little midpoint between gaming and anime, VTubers on Twitch.
They do be VTubing though. So, you know what? I feel like I want to voice this one, right? I feel like I have it in me. 5 seconds. I accidentally zoomed in on my chest for 5 seconds while I was trying to adjust my mascot. No sexual themes! No violations of the dress code! No exposed bits! 5 seconds! Are you kidding me, Twitch?
And then you see the image that they paired with it. And then you're like, I see. I get it.
Oh god,
good job, Twitch.
I think voicing that actually like caused some kind of cramp in some part of my body. I don't even know where, but it physically pains me to read it out.
Yeah, like I don't know what the fuck you were expecting, Miss Radioactive.
Yeah, so if you look at the image, which we presumably have on screen right now.
I don't even know if I can put the image on screen. Is this okay to show on YouTube and not get forced into 18 plus?
I feel like it's somewhat reasonable to put on. Maybe censor it a little, but like I think it's probably fine as just a still image. But okay, so the issue, the elephant in the room, is that okay, so first of all, and this is something that I just have to point out. These are no offense to the artists behind these models. They're the single ugliest VTuber models I have ever seen in my entire life. They are unbelievably hideous.
They're not great, especially the one on the left with the rabbit
one on the
with
left
with the
awful.
tits that are literally, you could fit like 4 of her head inside of them.
Yeah, I mean, typically I don't want to use like breast size as a candidate for whether or not something is meant to be sexually gratifying, considering that there are real people with gigantic knockers. However, this lady has like cartoonishly large ones.
And not only are they cartoonishly large, the front of their tops are both open, exposing not just like the entirety of their cleavage, but a healthy amount of inner side boob as well.
Yeah, well, what I like to fixate on more is the obvious intent to arouse, which is clearly on display here. Like, that is very much it's gooner bait. It's gooner bait. In fact, there's like an entire subgenre of VTubing used to describe gooner bait called lewd tubing, which I have decided not to touch with a 10-foot pole because I think I would rather kill myself.
I
think
I have
I
a
would-
rant bottled up in my head that I fear if I go mask off, I'm gonna be taken
Go
out
mask
of
off.
context.
Do it, you coward.
Okay, I'm trying to say this in a way that is as sensitive as possible. If you are a woman and you are a V2 or like doing any kind of streaming like this where you are very clearly sexualized, like trying to use sexualization to attract an audience, particularly of the male variety, because there are, statistically speaking, more straight people in the world than gay people, and more I imagine it is not a stretch to say that the audience that of these streamers is primarily made up of straight men. If there's any data to counterpoint this, please bring my attention to it, and I will gladly educate myself. But I don't think it's a stretch to say that. If you make a design like this, and it gets sexualized, if you complain about it in any way, shape, or form, you're a bitch.
I mean, there are limits to it, but in this case, I think it is pretty cut and dry.
Because you already know this is just a still. This is just a still image. This is just a still image. You know for a goddamn fact them tits got some titty physics on them.
Actually, this has been like a secret dream of mine for a while now, right? Because
you want to make a
seen
VTuber
some
of your avatar with titty physics. I know.
Well,
you don't have to tell me,
physics, but
Crunchy.
yes. But no, I want some VTuber, not me, to make like a VTuber avatar with titty physics that are like the ragdoll physics in Gmod. That are so over the top that they are not even arousing. It's just funny. Because I've seen some physics on VTuber models that have made me burst out laughing when I saw them, but I've never seen some that go above and beyond to be as comical as possible. And I need to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Like that's a dream of mine. I want to see that on display at some point in my life, and then I can die happy.
Yeah, there's just there is a section of VTubers who are like, hey, please don't who say they get uncomfortable when people talk about like how they're attracted to their VTubers.
Me.
Yeah. But then they do things like they give them titty physics and they give them like pretty fleshy, exposed, large amounts of skin showing and cleavage showing tits.
I'm not sure who you're talking about is the thing, because I haven't seen this.
Well, it's like it sort of ties into this, where it's like it's two other like subsections. There's like this particular instance where it's like there's no sexual themes whatsoever, no exposed bits, and then you look at the image and you're like, are you taking the piss? Like, there's that, and then there's also stuff like I've seen some VTubers who are like people will have like drawn lewd art of my VTuber, and it's like it's like kind of weird. Like I would like them to not do that, but then you see what they like, the attributes they give to their VTuber. It's like, are you like you shouldn't be surprised if you make your VTuber a very sexualized, like purposefully give them sexual characteristics, and then not be surprised when they get sexualized.
Well, I think there's limits to this, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're talking about, bluntly. Like, I haven't seen. Oh, I mean, I know there are some people who don't like it when their model is sexualized, which is perfectly fine. I haven't seen the crossroads where it would be so over the top that you have to like laugh at it. No, I don't even think this person would necessarily say that. But there's
I'm
layers
not
to
saying
it because
this
on the one
person in
hand,
particular. Say
yeah.
I've seen a couple of VTubers
Well,
of a
I
similar
want to
nature to this
draw the
one.
line because there's such a thing, right, where someone will make their model hot, attractive, because everyone wants to look attractive. You know, I think Bagel Chan is adorable. I
Yeah.
also wouldn't want someone making porn of her, and I think I am like fully within my right to say like that makes
Well,
me
yeah, but
uncomfortable. Please don't do that.
yeah, well, the distinction I'm making though is that Bagel Chan is not not
Yeah.
designed in any way, shape, or form to be sexually attractive. She's made to look cutesy.
Well, I also don't even necessarily draw the line at being sexually appealing because most, you know, traditionally gorgeous women would also be sexually appealing in some way. It's just that some people will draw the line at outright pornographic fan art, and I think that would be like perfectly reasonable. Like, I think it would be reasonable for someone who shows a lot of no, even some cleavage in their design to say, well, I wouldn't want outright pornography made of them.
I agree with that. I'm just saying, like, I've seen VTubers who have models like this one here, that we're talking about, and then being like, yeah, I kind of get weirded out when people sexualize them. It's like, was that not what you were going for?
I just have to know what you're talking about to say whether or not I fully agree with what you're saying. Because I really don't think I've seen this.
I've I've sadly like lost. I've seen it happen like a couple times throughout the year, so I've sadly lost like the names of them. Also because there's so many fucking VTubers nowadays. Like remember
Yeah.
back in the day when VTubing was like a Japanese thing, and we knew them by name, and now any fuck could get a 3D model rigged up to be a VTuber.
Yeah, well, okay, I guess to clarify my final position on what you were saying, I think it would be reasonable for even these guys right here, these guys, to say, I would not like outright pornography drawn of my character. I think that would be fine. I think what would be silly
I,
would be them. I think what's silly is them saying there's nothing sexual about it, which is
yeah.
goofy. You're huffing goof juice.
Yeah, my point that I was trying to make was that like it feels like what reason would you give a VTuber like it's not like a thing where it's like we were talking about earlier about how like just because a woman in real life has naturally big breasts that doesn't mean they're automatically sexual in nature. Like it's fair to say that big breasts are more attractive on average to most men. But
Well, unless you're weird like me and think that smaller is better.
I'm speaking in generalities, Crunchy. No one's a fucking weirdo like you.
No
not
one, you
everyone,
say.
rather. Well, not everyone is what I meant to say.
Flat as fucking justice, baby.
But see, the difference with VTubers is that with a VTuber, you have total creative control of what they look like. It is not a thing of like, oh, I was born this way. I didn't choose to have D cup tits. So like, it's a thing where it's like you have total creative control. You can make them whatever size cup you want. You can make them as dressed up or as exposed as you like. I just, my confusion is where if you have the ability to design your VTuber to look however you want, why would you choose to make them as like give them the most sexual attributes and then like give them additional sexual attributes like sexy bouncy titty physics uh and then be like, hey, don't sexualize. It's like it's like mixed messages, like mixed signals. Like what I don't get why it feels somewhat hypocritical even to be like, because why else would you make your character sexual if not to attract like people who are into that sort of thing, and then not and expect them not to then sexualize them for the very reason that you are attracting them in the first place. That was what I was trying to get across.
Yeah, I mean, I do get that element. It's just that, I mean, I at least have to be really careful with what extent I agreed to that, just because it could be taken really wrong.
Yeah, that's why I was
like
talking
you said
about
at the
mask off.
beginning.
Like, if I wanted to go, if I were going full mask off, I would have said something like, all female VTubers who apply, sexual, like blatantly sexual attributes to their models should have like automatically lose the right to complain. If I were
Yeah,
going
I don't
full
know.
mask
It's
off,
so
but
it's so case by case. Like
yeah,
it really is.
but yeah,
And
doubling
also
back
depends
to
on like the yeah.
yeah, doubling back to this particular situation where we're talking about there's no sexual themes, no dress code violations, nothing exposed.
The
Naturally,
fuck you mean nothing exposed?
yeah, naturally, this VTuber got clowned on to hell and back.
It's goofball society. It really is.
Like, what are some good one? Like, yeah, like all you have to do is click on the tweet and look at the quote tweets, and you'll see like VTubers when the viewership slips by a few views, 4,000 cc breast implants. There's a no sexual themes, no violations of the dress code, and it's a screenshot of a VTuber with not a VTuber, a visual novel character with like comically, medically impossible, like the tits are bigger than the body.
Yeah, that was literally my thought when I saw the one on the left. Was that girl from that visual novel? I just didn't know it was what it was called, so I didn't search it. But yeah, it's
I'm looking at another quote tweet right now. It's of a TikTok of a guy with the phrase "I heart eating shit" tattooed on his forehead, being like, "Guess who just got kicked out of Starbucks for being white?"
that's great. Yeah, to me it's just a funny situation. Further proof that there is a significant portion of the VTuber fan base and VTubers themselves who are appealing to and are gooners. We truly live in a gooner society.
I guess at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say with the point that I was making, that if you are creating an environment where you are openly inviting gooners, you should not be surprised when you are find yourself among gooner behavior.
Yeah, if you're deliberately catering to them in a way that can't be just blown off as an accident. Like someone
I've seen
like Pokemon,
VTubers
I
with like
feel bad for.
Yeah, they're
who
like I've seen
got
VTubers that
gooners.
you were talking about earlier with like they'll have a little bit of their cleavage exposed, but like they won't. They're like there's no titty physics. They're like pretty bundled up, and like that's the one bit of skin that they're showing. And then I'll see ones where it's like they're wearing a crop top. There's like everything from the middle of their tits where like their nipples would be covered up upward. There's nothing there. Bare shoulders, tits bouncing everywhere.
Yeah, it's case by case.
Yeah. Now that we've successfully alienated all women from the podcast, well, the few women that were watching this podcast,
there were none even to begin with. Let's be real.
The Vatican has decided to make the smartest decision in the recent history of the church. If you wanted people to flock to your literally anything, make it anime.
Yeah, so there's a new mascot for the church that has blown up on Twitter because she's adorable. Look at her.
Her name is Luce. I think that's how you pronounce it in Italian, which is Italian for light. So basically, she's you could call her Hikari in Japanese.
It is literally the cutest thing ever. But I mean, is it a boy or a girl? I actually don't know.
Pretty sure it's a girl.
Yeah, I thought so. I just wasn't sure. But I mean, she's got like the blue seashell eyes. rocking the yellow hoodie.
Yeah, the yellow like raincoat. Looks like if you took the protagonist of Little Nightmares and the kid who gets taken by Pennywise and it down the sewer, and you just cutified them and gave them a little blue colored anime hair and turned him into a chibi mascot.
I'm atheist, and I would absolutely buy that and put it on my shelf. The church would make so much money off of me.
Is this wavering your non-belief in God, Crunchy?
I mean, not at all, but I would still buy it. Although, what's
I
interesting...
don't know, wouldn't that make you
there's-
a fake atheist? That you're still buying something representative of the church?
I mean, Look, I don't think most atheists hate the church so much that, like, any money given to it is money spent on immorality or whatever. Like, I don't agree with it, but I don't think that, there's some bad things, like homophobia or whatever, but I think, like, the core ideals aren't so bad that I would feel, outright horrible about giving any money to it whatsoever if I get a cute anime girl out of it.
Oh, you know what? I actually never
Although-
noticed the seashells in her eyes. I thought you were saying like seashell blue, but I'm looking at it even closer now. Now I see what
Yeah,
you're talking
they
about.
literal seashells.
Yeah, she's wearing the cute little cross necklace and her little green rain boots.
Yeah, I saw one reply to the tweet a while ago. I can't find it now. I was trying to scroll down and find it. But something about false idols. As a Christian yourself, Neon, what do you think about this? Do you think it's pagan worship, horrible false idols?
Listen, if this is what they were talking about false idol worship, then the devil is working in ways that we are truly not prepared for, because this is his most sinister ploy yet.
Look, all I'm saying is lighten up. The church has an anime girl now. That's just great. That's purely good. A net good has been done
no one's
in the world.
From what I see, no one's actually praising her over God or as a vehicle of God.
Yeah, people are just drawing porn of her instead. Presumably, I haven't looked for it.
When you bring it up like that, I didn't think about that at all. But I'm not so convinced of what you're saying, Crunchy.
What aren't you convinced of?
That you haven't seen porn of there.
I actually haven't. The reason why I mention it is because that was the joke that everyone made immediately. Where they're like, wait till this old guy learns what Rule 34 means.
Well,
it has to have happened.
It is inevitable, yes, but also at the same time, as I'm looking at her, I'm just thinking, damn, if you made her eyes red instead of blue, that'd literally just be Rei Ayanami.
Someone literally put that in the replies. I see it right now. So Luce is a girl created with short blue hair that wants to grow and represents Catholics and angels. Rei Ayanami is a girl created with short blue hair that has the soul of an angel. Therefore, Luce equals Rei.
Oh my god, it's all come clear now. This is what Ano was playing at the whole time.
Ano predicted this.
Now we just need fuck. What was the event called? The melding of all one's mind.
How am I blanking on this? I could literally say it instantly in any other context.
It's not the third impact, but like instrumentality. That's what
instrumentality. There we go. Yeah, human instrumentality project.
Yeah, if you know what, if that was the face that I was seeing when my mind is being turned into Sunny D, I guess I'm more open to the idea.
Yeah, personally, net good, pure net good. Church anime girl is good.
When do I get the Nindoroid?
Once again, I would buy it.
All right, well, moving on to our last bit of anime news. Pretty big one. One that definitely affects us the most. Even more so than the church and their new anime mascot. Toho has acquired GKIDS. They bought them outright.
Yep, so I don't actually know much about the context behind this story. But that's what we have you here for, because I don't read half of this shit.
Yeah, so essentially, since we were going pretty long on this one, I will TLDR it. Toho buying GKIDS, what it essentially means is that like they're still gonna, I think, operate as a well, let me give a quick reread over this because I haven't read the article in about a month, but from what I saw, they're not gonna like dissolve GKIDS and make it a part of like a different branch of Toho. They're gonna make it like they're gonna be a wholly owned subsidiary under under Toho, and they'll work with Toho International. It's all part of Toho's big plan to bring the company outside of Japan and make it an international name. Kind of like how Universal is an international name.
Yeah, so
Because like if you're in Japan, you know what Toho is, but if you're outside Japan, if you're like a layman, they might be like, oh, they make the Godzilla movies, right?
I mean, I know they own a lot of stuff, but I could not like actually tell you what exactly they own. Apparently, they recently acquired Science Saru. So
Oh yeah, they did do that too.
Yeah, I know they own a lot of different anime studios, but I cannot tell you which ones. I wish I could. I should know this, but I don't.
Yeah, so should, according to what GKIDS is saying, what's gonna come out of this is that it's gonna be a wholly net good thing, and because it'll allow with the backing of not just themselves and all like the profit that they've made from bringing over foreign animation, primarily Japanese in origin, to the West. Now they can do it with the backing of Toho International. So what that could possibly mean for us is that we'll get subtitled releases of Toho anime movies, or yeah, of something of a similar nature, much faster than like even previously we've gotten before. Like usually we have to wait like half a year to upwards of nearly a year between like the release in Japan versus the release in the West. Maybe now it'll be brought down even faster because now with the extra funding backed by Toho.
Yep, we can only hope.
Yeah, and, and maybe they'll even be able to do things like more things like how GKIDS has the rights to the Dandadan anime, and how they're like broadcasting on Netflix. They did that whole 3-episode premiere in theaters. Yeah, like the whole thing that they're doing with Dandadan, which by the way turned out to be a fucking genius move on GKIDS' part to get the rights to Dandadan, because how huge it's blowing up.
Oh hey, look, we have a good transition now. Holy shit.
Yeah, well, that was purely an accident, by the way, but what a banger idea. All right, actually, one last additional news story. The Onion has purchased Infowars in a bankruptcy auction.
Yeah, so
Peak comedies here, boys.
So, this is last minute news story because we just woke up to do the second half of the podcast, and this popped up on my timeline. And the tweet that I found that introduced me to this story says, and I quote, "The Onion CEO says they acquired it because this is the funniest thing that has ever happened." It is indeed the funniest thing that has ever happened. It doesn't get funnier than this.
To disagree.
Yeah, so I did in fact read an article about it, Crunchy doing research for once. So, as it turns out, right, so the Alex Jones situation, right, we all know, like, he said some shit about school shootings not being real, caused the people who actually suffered from the school shooting, who had loved ones lost, to get harassed because people thought they were crisis actors. They sued, they won, and now Alex Jones is dissolving the company in order to pay for it. 8 of those people who were in the lawsuit have put forward some of their, earnings from the lawsuit. Well, they haven't received it yet because Alex Jones still needs to get the money, but they're setting aside some of their earnings so that he has to pay them less in order to buy help the Onion buy Infowars, which means they agree that this would be the funniest thing ever. They're so cool for that. And also, yeah, there was like a bidding war, and some of the people in the bids were like, pro Alex Jones and wanted to spread his message again. So they also have that reason to put their money forward. But, I like to believe that they also see the humor in it.
We should have done. We should have put a bid in on the auction.
Well, I would have put in like $5 and the Onion would have like 10 times. Well, not 10 times, 10,000 times that.
We should have done it just to say we tried to take a swing at turning Infowars into Castaway Anime Wars.
Look, all I'm saying is I doubt the Infowars lineup of stories will change that much.
They're turning the new game characters gay.
I mean, they're already gay.
True.
They're turning the frickin' frogs gay. Actually, did you know that story actually had something to it? Like, unironically.
I did hear a little bit about how, like, they were, experimenting.
Experimenting?
I thought, like,
the story, as I know it, is that there was this company that was producing these chemicals that ended up in drinking water, that it wasn't turning the frogs gay. Alex Jones was just being dumb on that one. But what it was it was altering the sexual characteristics of the frogs. So they were all, their genitalia were getting messed up. Is when they were born, I think, in the water as tadpoles. And this was water that humans were drinking. And so someone noticed this and was like, this is kind of fucky. I'm gonna like try and get something done about it. And the company instead paid for a fraudulent scientific paper to say like, oh no, this actually isn't happening. Like basically a cover up in order to not get sued. So, and because of the Alex Jones clip, in part, like this story has been written off as ridiculous. When actually, if he hadn't said something as dumb as the frogs are turning gay, there would have been something to it. Because it's contaminated drinking water for humans.
So like, what you're saying is that Alex Jones was a hero and we just didn't realize it yet.
Yes. Yeah, clearly. I agree with everything he's ever said.
He deserves literally all of this.
Look, a broken clock is right twice a day. And people will point to the few times where he was right and be like, guys, he's actually smart. He's not.
Just ignore all those times he said one of the most infamous mass shootings in American history was fake.
Exactly.
Even though there's
ignore
literal video evidence to the contrary.
Ignore the swamp of fucking bad news and like focus on like the couple times he wasn't completely wrong. Actually, the funny thing is, even with the frogs gay story, he was like literally wrong in what he said. They weren't turning gay. If he was being accurate, he would have said they're turning, I don't know, like trans or intersex. Not gay.
They're turning the frogs trans.
Exactly. They're transing.
And your children are next.
They're turning trans. They put it in the water to turn your son into a daughter.
I don't know why you made him Italian.
I don't know either.
They put it in the water to turn your son into a daughter. You know what? Forget the Onion buying Infowars. This is the funniest thing that has ever happened.
Well, there you have it, folks. The onion
Now I'm
has
just
been
thinking about an
bested.
Italian mob boss who, instead of like killing people, he just takes his enemies or like his underlings, people have like failed him, and he takes their children and gets them reassignment surgery.
He just spikes their drink with HRT until until they turn into girls.
You failed me for the last time. You were like a son to me, but now I congratulate you on the birth of your new daughter. But sir, I don't have a daughter. You do now.
This is the best thing that's ever happened.
I need to write like a comedy sketch about that. That's how the final episode of the Penguin
go hard.
That's how the final episode of the Penguin on HBO should have ended.
Yeah. So
Okay.
overall, look, he turned into an onion, Morty. Funniest shit I've ever seen.
I so hope that when they buy all the assets and they redo them, they film the show exactly like how Infowars used to be filmed, and they get like Alex Jones personality type where he makes even more like obviously ridiculously outlandish statements and exclamations.
Yeah, I think this show will. I plan on tuning into this show. I need to see what it's like just out of sheer curiosity. That sounds like it would be insane.
I guess you could say Alex Jones lost the Infowars.
In a very literal sense, yes. Rest in not peace. I want the corpse of Infowars paraded around, damn it.
Alright, that's all for the news now.
For real this time.
Alright, yeah. Dandadan. It's
God damn da damn.
Yeah, it's kind of peak, isn't it?
So you were not lying when you told me that each episode feels like 12 minutes, because I watched them all this morning and it was easy. it was really easy. I did not have to force myself whatsoever once I had watched like
I know this
it.
is like our number one seal of like stamp of recommendation when we mentioned this on the podcast, but it was like I wanted to mash the next episode button so hard.
I probably would have, were it not for the fact that obviously if I watch it now, we're going to take like a month before we get to the, next podcast. So I'll have blurry memories by comparison. So obviously can't do that. But it is great. It is stunningly good.
Yeah, and it's been blowing up. Like, I don't think an anime has like blown up like this so fast since excuse me. I don't think even Dungeon Meshi blew up this much when it came out. I think this is like more like a Freerun situation.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I haven't seen too much of the reception yet. Average score 84 on AniList, probably higher on Mal, like an 8.6 if I had to guess. Which deserved. So deserved.
8.6, let me check. Yeah, 8.64.
I don't know if it is. Okay, I had the score right on the money.
Yeah, this whole show has been one of the I'm gonna say it's like a contender for anime of the year.
It absolutely is. I mean, the only other ones would be like Oshinoko Season 2. Oshinoko Season 2. I mean, Dungeon Meshi, obviously. But
maybe. Do you think Freerun could compete? What score? I forget. What score did you end up giving Freerun?
I gave Freerun an 8.
Okay, I also gave it an 8.
It's not anime of the year material yet, considering Oshinoko Season 2. I already have it a 9. Dungeon Meshi, I feel like would max out at a 9. I don't think it could reach 10. Maybe it can, and I'm just tripping. But
You haven't gotten to the Yuri.
true.
You've not been exposed to
fake
enough
Yuri.
Farseal.
I still need to get back on the Dungeon Meshi grind set.
Same.
But this could be. I don't want to say it too early. I don't want to call it. But I'm saying that this has 10 potential.
If the rest of this season is as good as these episodes, and keep especially with the. All right, yeah. Hold on. I'm just gonna open it with saying this. I fucking adore Momo and Okaroon. I think this is going. I think this is going even beyond the Fern and Stark levels of I need them to kiss and get married and have a million babies.
By far, Fern and Stark had like a fine dynamic. I enjoyed them. It is like not even on the same level as this.
And like even with Fern and Stark, when I say like the fan base as a whole kind of ran with the joke of them having a million babies because of Friren's lifespan, and like she'll like live throughout their multiple generations of children throughout her lifetime. Whereas this one's not even sexual. I just want them to like hang out and be buds, and then like I want them to like sit next to each other and like hug.
So here's the interesting thing, right? Because Dandadan, only at episode 5 does it really start expanding the amount of characters in the show. Like for episode 1 we have Momo and Ken, and then in episode 2 we get the grandma, and then it's really just them up until episode 5, where we get like brief glimpses of pink-haired girl.
Well, we also get Seiko.
I just said the grandma.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Turbo Granny.
No, I just forgot her name.
Okay.
I mean, Turbo Granny is technically a character. I wouldn't consider her to be, like... she's a good villain. Just... she's interesting. She's interesting.
It looks like going forward, she might become this show's version of Cone from Bleach.
I thought that exact same thing. Based on the ED, absolutely. Because Turbo Granny has been reduced to a wee little skrunklo who can't do shit against
robbed
Torment.
of all of her power. Now it's just her mind inhabiting a doll.
Which is hilarious. And
doing funny
she
dances
stays.
with a cat.
She definitely will. Yeah, so Dandadan, keeping up with its insanity, is a show about a boy who lost his penis. And later on his balls.
Can't have fucking shit in Detroit.
He really can't. He gets the shaft back only for the balls to stay missing. And only to learn that Turbo Granny just dropped him off somewhere. Just left him. Just left him wherever.
Yeah. How is he gonna pee now? Where if all the pee stored in the balls?
I kind of love how they never address it. Like, you just have to imagine how he peed without it. Because he canonically did. But we don't know how.
Did he? I thought he said he had to shit.
Well, I mean, pee and shit go together like pee and shit. I don't know. I was about to say peanut butter and jelly, but that's kind of a disgusting metaphor. So...
Remind me to add that one to the quote book later. Pee and shit kind of go together like ... pee and shit.
Exactly. I mean, you can't have one without the other. So, I mean... Well, also, it's been like multiple days at that point. He has to go. You pee more than you shit. It's like a law of the universe. And he drank like 5 minutes prior in the episode.
Maybe it was just a hole. Maybe it became a girl.
Damn. Wish it were me. But anyway.
You are never beating the allegations. Yeah, so now the journey is while he is without his penile pecker, he is teaming up with Momo, who also has her psychic powers now, and they gotta fight ghosts and aliens, and they gotta get back his wee.
I mean, as I said in the seasonal podcast, this show is off the rails, and that is very much one of its main appeals. It has stayed at kind of a consistent level of off the rails after episode 1. Like, episode 1 is where it peaked, where it's just like, what is this even about? And then right now, we're kind of in a groove of just, yep, this show is wacky and weird, but also we've got like the greatest character dynamic of all time tying it together. Because once again, it is primarily just Momo and Ken just playing off each other. I love their constant bickering. Like, not bickering in the sense of they're also having fun with it typically, except in episode 5 where it becomes like sincere but also like really cute because they both immediately want to get back together.
Dude, I was fucking like smashing my desk, being like, oh my, then like I want to talk to Momo, I want to talk to Okarun.
They're just they're precious. They're absolutely
They belong
precious.
together.
When they're both, I love this scene. They're both at benches on the same wall, right next to each other. The only thing blocking their vision of each other is like a corridor, like an outside corridor, but there's like little windows in the wall even so they can still see each other. But they're just so like down and up in their feels about how the other isn't talking to them and how they've looked across the entire school for them and just keep missing each other. That they're like, oh man, but like
As
maybe,
one
maybe they
raises
hate
their
me.
head, the other one lowers theirs, so they
I
keep missing
love
each other.
that.
The directing
And
in the
then-
show as a whole has been very top tier.
stellar. But then I also love how they bump into each other, where it's not some like pussy shit, oh, they accidentally kiss, the trope. It's they accidentally like go mouth to mouth, but their teeth clashed together, and it like kind of hurts, and it's really funny.
I love
Character dynamics are just, they're great. I love them.
I love how Momo tries to play like both the Gyaru and the girl around him at all times. Like even just like immediately after meeting him, like she doesn't feel like she has to put on any sort of like guise or persona around him. She's just immediately as open with him as anyone else that she's around, like with her normal friends. I love in episode 2 where she's like they're in their room together and she's changing back into normal clothes, and she says to Okarun, like, you always assume people are like you always assume their feelings without letting them give a chance to explain themselves. That's really annoying, and that's probably why you don't have as many friends as you could have. And then when he is like slumping down in that shot outside the bedroom doorway, when he slumps down, she's already kneeling next to him, being like, "You don't have to be like that with me. I'm in this with you, pal." That was a great bit of directing and also a cute moment, especially then when she then sits even closer to him and be like, "Hey man, come on, speak to me." Poke, and pokes his butt.
I screenshotted that and was like, hierarchy of needs. Like the entire thing is fulfilled by a girl going poke and poking you. Just every need fulfilled by that one
As
action.
someone who's now been in a relationship for 6 months, I can confirm that like, I just see like this is the most literally me anime that could possibly have come out in the right now for me.
Damn, don't worry, it'll be literally me soon once I groom one of my fans.
Well, I'm glad we got that on audio video.
Look, they can play that clip with like the VHS filter over it in the shitty YouTube video essays when they come out. We should have known all along.
Yeah, and then immediately after that, he just goes, "You're so ugly," and then they get back into yelling at each other again.
Yeah, like the banter it's so lighthearted, but also like they get into it, but it's so you want them to get into it because it's so fun, and it's clear that they're also having fun with it. The banter in this show is top notch. Like, even, dude, when Ken starts running to the bathroom and has Momo, like, piggybacking him, biting his head, like, trying to get him not to go into the restroom. And then, like,
teeth.
when they're running together, like, Seiko says his full name. And Momo's like, ah, and then just, like,
she
flutters away in the
swoons
distance.
and jumps up and then falls behind.
It's great.
I also love how she nicknames him Okaroon because he loves the call, and she literally cannot handle her calling her saying his full name, or even himself calling himself his name. She's like, no, you're not Ken Takakura, you are Okaroon. I cannot
That's literally the first thing that happens in episode 2. Is just don't say your name ever. He's like, but it's my name.
It's not anymore, bitch.
You're Okaroon now.
I love that at beginning of episode 4 when they're going into the tunnel to confront Turbo Granny. She's like, you should go first, Okaroon's like, no, it's ladies first. What? You wouldn't send a cute little old girl like me in there, would you, ooh?
Every single interaction, dude. Also, Momo with glasses is also entire hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, when that particular design with Momo wearing glasses, I feel like I felt my soul transcend into the higher plane for a moment there.
Yeah, Momo with glasses, Momo with ponytail, Momo with anything.
I miss the long hair that she had at the episode 1 when she unlocked her psychic powers.
Momo everything is the hierarchy of needs.
I'm a big Momo enjoyer. She's great. And Ken's also great. I love how his self-doubt. I love how when he transforms, he turns into a edgy emo guy, and his self-doubt just gives way into self-loathing.
But also, it's like, you know, in the seasonal podcast, you were talking about how you hope this romance is them, like, building each other up. It is, like, very literally that. Like, in the most literal way, like every time they're in battle, like, it's always just this team effort where, you know, it's typically Momo coming up with, like, the strategies, and then, like, Ken being there, like, you know, using his super insane, like, I guess, depression powers to execute them, but also, like, she's out there on the battlefield as well. And it's always great to watch them, you know, engaging in fights together as opposed to just one, like, carrying the entire thing. Like how, you know, even in the very first fight in this block of episodes, Momo, like, baits the alien, like, maybe alien, maybe ghost. I wasn't entirely clear on it, but Ken thought it was an alien. Even though, you know, the seal worked on it, so I'm not entirely clear on what it is.
I think they established that
maybe an alien
what affects
ghost.
ghosts can also affect aliens because they're both supernatural in origin.
Okay, that does make sense. Yeah. But, like, she baits it into punching, right? So it's made this wall around the entire house that's made of cement. Literally, like, can't get through it, and it's blocked to Tori gate that, you know, you would put the seal on. But then Momo baits it into punching the wall in this, you know, super tense scene, like, where she is. And she's presumably living just purely through psychic powers, because it is, like, breaking the concrete wall. But she baits it into doing that so that she can, like, telepath the seal to her and exercise it because it's past the realm of the Tori gate. Like, you know, we're exercising strategy. We've got teamwork going on. Like, it's great. We're firing on all cylinders at all times.
Yeah, it's like a more dynamic version of what Fuko and Andy had in Undead Unluck, where it kind of feels, you know, it feels like they're both operating on equal footing, whereas in Undead Unluck, Fuko kind of feels like sometimes she can help, but sometimes it just kind of feels like she was a vehicle of unluck for Andy to use against their opponents, whereas here they're both equals working together.
which works with the theme of the show. There you go.
Yeah, I love how without fail, whenever they're running together, they have the same run cycle where they are like booking it like full legging, doing the exact same pose mirrored where they're one leg in a 90-degree angle, their arms are also in 90-degree angles, and they're just running side by side together.
Yeah, dude, episode 4 was just pure insanity. It's it's like everything, and I assume that's where the movie ended, which honestly was like perfect way to end that because it's the ending of the arc. But like episode 4 was just
the movie was the first 3 episodes, so
oh, it was
it
only
would've
the first 3?
Yeah, so it would have
Why not
ended.
the first 4?
Am I getting that wrong? Hold on.
That feels like such a weird place to end it off.
The first encounter. I'm fairly positive. Yeah, it was the first 3 episodes.
Huh. That's weird.
I
Why
mean,
wouldn't
it's a
you-
pretty
I mean,
good.
I guess it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah, because it's right before they go take on Granny in the tunnel.
Yeah, it's just that. I don't know, maybe it's just because episode 4 is such a good climax to me that I'm feeling this way. Because, I mean, at first they do successfully, not completely exorcise Turbo Granny. Like, get her, she's possessed Ken, and then Momo is like, keeping a firm grasp on her. Sometimes literally, and also with her, psychic powers.
Yeah,
whatever.
she repossessed Okarun, by the way, because he bit her teeth.
I love that.
She's like, "Oh, you cheated on your count with giving us a head start, and so I'm gonna do exactly what you offered. I'm gonna suck your teeth because you gobbled my weenie."
Except, in fairness, it's more like gobbling that teat with fucking full bite.
And he did it for his woman.
Exactly. But then, like, after, she gets exorcised, well, not really, but, kind of, subdued. You're like, oh, okay, what happens now? We kind of won the encounter. No, because it's been previously established that there's also a location-bound spirit along with Turbo Granny. And so then, like, the giant crab starts walking towards them and causing havoc, and they've got to outrun it. Which, by the way, this is all happening, like, invisible to ordinary people, but they can still see, like, kind of what's going on. Like, they can see the destruction, they can see Momo. Yeah, Momo and Ken running. I love how Momo's embarrassed about, being piggyback on Ken. Like, oh, I hope none of my classmates see this. The zombie apocalypse almost gets started at a certain point.
I love how the show is like, it can get serious, but like even in like sometimes even in the serious moments, it'll be like, oh, I hope like there'll still be the sillies out in full force. Oh no, I hope my friends don't see this, or the thing where like they're getting chased by a monster and they're still doing the goofy run together.
See, that's the thing, because like this show is like tonally perfect to me, because it will, you could argue, if you're a fucking loser, that is, that it undercuts some of the tension and emotional moments by suddenly pivoting into a gag. But because this show is so focused on the core character dynamic between Ken and Momo, it always feels right. Because you're always, you're pivoting into a gag, but it's also like building on the core idea of the show, which is the romance between them. And so it never feels like completely out of pocket or out of left field. It always feels like sweet, Like when you pivot from an emotional moment into a joke, it's not really undercutting the emotions, because you're pivoting into something that makes you smile and makes you, feel the warm fuzzies inside. And whenever you're in a scene that's tense, what's literally happening is so absurd that when the characters make smart comments about it, or when Momo's like, oh, I hope no one sees me, it's like, yeah, this is a goofy show. It feels in line with that. Tonal perfection to me. Like, I think this show nails pretty much everything.
Yeah, I can't think of like a bad aspect to it. The animation and art quality have not declined in the slightest. It's been very consistently high.
I mean, the worst thing I can say about the show, genuinely, is that in episode 2, the alien is most of the time CG. But then the main reason why I was worried about that in the moment was because I was like, oh, well, how are the, future aliens gonna work? Or
The
gonna
crab
look,
was
right?
never CG.
That's the thing. Well, I think the crab was sometimes like CG, but like drawn over as well or whatever to help mask it. But the
Okay.
thing is, like, it was always composited so well that it's like, yeah, it looks good at all times. Like, because for the episode 2, like, the one encounter that they could have gotten away with doing CG for would have been that. And it's not even, like, particularly awful CG or anything. Like, it looks fine. It just a little, I was a little disappointed just because it is CG and because I noticed. But then you get to episode 4 and it's like, okay, worries averted. Because the important encounters are fully animated. Or at the very least, mask it well enough that I don't mind it. And that's really what matters to me. Like, if to get this show out at all looking as good as it does requires using some CG for some aliens, I'd rather it be the less important ones to focus all that energy into making the good encounters as Sakuga as possible, which there was so much sauce in episode 4 for the animation. Like,
Yeah,
that
that shit
went
went crazy.
Episode 4 was so well animated that, once again, I don't even care. Like, I literally don't even care about episode 2 anymore. Just to get episode 4 looking as good as it does.
Listen, they needed to make the alien in episode 2 CG so they could put all of the detail into scientifically crafting the all the proportions of Seiko's design.
Exactly.
You know how she always has her hair like tied up in that like really tall Marge Simpson-esque tower? It's representative of everyone's dicks looking at her and how they're shooting straight up.
I unironically do really love Seiko's design. Like, she doesn't come across
She's a
as like
baddie.
she's a baddie, but yeah, it like feels natural within her character that she would be like that. Like, not necessarily pandering so much as that is really how this character would dress and act. As
Yeah,
sort of femme fatale, but also like kind of a kooky one with the pineapple hair.
yeah, like kind of like she can be serious, but then on her off hours she's just like she's kind of late. She kind of reminds me of like Kakashi or from Naruto, or even a bit like his name's not Urahara. I was thinking of Ukitake, but that's a different Bleach character, like Urahara too.
Yeah, she definitely has that aesthetic to her.
Yeah,
I personally
she's
love her.
basically the personality of Urahara with the design sensibilities of Yoruichi.
That's honestly the best way to put her. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
And that's why literally everyone wants to bang her.
I mean, I would.
Yeah, like
maybe Hag Maxers were right all along. That's all I'm saying.
This is what they were talking about, even though this is definitely cheating, because the joke is that
Yeah.
she's supposed to be a grandma, yet she looks like she could be she looks like she's in her 40s at the least, and that's by anime standards.
I mean, Ken literally says, like, man, your grandma's young.
Like, I don't think they
I
ever
assume it has
explicitly
to be like
state
some
her
kind
age.
of, occult magic stuff is what I would assume.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, given the whole nature of the show, I'd imagine it has to be a gag, and like she just has like some magic ability to make herself look younger, or because I can't be the other idea I had, which is she's just straight up like 40 years old because like she had children at a young age, and her children's children, and her children had children at a young age. That would be the only other logical explanation, but given
But I don't feel like this show would do that. Like, it feels much more in line with its sense of wacky logic to be like, and
Yeah.
also there's magic involved, or occult stuff, or whatever. Which the show has acknowledged that she looks young, so I'm sure we'll get that explanation at some point.
Yeah, I'd let her smash my skull in with that bat.
Bro, same. Same.
Oh, let's see what else is there. There's the pink hair. We're starting to get into the new characters with the pink-haired girl, Ira.
Yeah, she's not done much yet except for flirt with Ken like a bitch in order just to lead him on, just to feel superior. Although what it leads into is like one of the best moments of like budding relationship between them, where Momo overhears this, and she's like, I bet bro has never felt the touch of a woman, and she uses her psychic powers to do. It's like a trope in Japanese comedies that people get hit in the head with a wash basin, and so she literally like telepaths a wash basin to hit her in the head, like a gag comedy, and then immediately like calls over Ken, takes him arm in arm, is like, you literally, bro is feeling the touch of a woman in real time. And I'm like, yes, be possessive of him, take him back, take back your man, take back what is rightfully yours. Yeah, it is great.
He is in fact the property of Momo Ayase.
Yeah, that was so cute.
And then the laugh. I love the contrast. Like once again highlighting how perfect the relationship is, of the heart to heart that they have. Of I got so embarrassed. Like she acknowledges that they kind of kissed, and just like I was so embarrassed I didn't know how to react, and I didn't want to like put you off or anything. So like, and they apologize and they make up. And it's like, I really just want to talk about occult stuff with you. It's like, I do too, Momo, but right now we have more pressing matters. My balls are gone. All my balls gone. And immediately cuts to her laughing her ass off back at her place on the floor. So much that shows she's like rolling around on the floor literally, and she's bumping into Ken.
I need this in real life. Never have I wanted a girlfriend more.
I'm telling you, I can't necessarily relate to the ball stealing, but I can relate to having.
You can't relate to the ball stealing? I mean, I can.
But yeah, you were talking about Laszlo's hierarchy of needs earlier. Yeah, having your girlfriend laugh at you for something like kind of dumb happening to you, or something that you said. Have her like cry laughing is it's even higher than oxygen.
So basically what you're saying is this show will fix Japan's birth crisis single-handedly.
I mean, now maybe it's because I have the benefit of being in a relationship kind of similar to this one, but yeah, this definitely feels like relationship propaganda. Even more so than typical rom-coms tend to do.
But the thing is, it sells it so well with just having the best character dynamic ever created. Dude, like, once again, I cannot stress this enough. It has been 5 episodes, it is like almost entirely just Momo and Ken. Like, yeah, Seiko is there. She's cool. I like her. It's like mostly Momo and Ken, and they've carried it.
Yeah, they I could just straight up watch a show of just these two dicking around, like and fighting ghosts with literally no other characters. Like you want to inject some variety, let them play off other ghosts. That's all you need.
But the thing is, like, because this dynamic has been crafted, and because Seiko, once again, really good character, I'm excited to see where they go with it. Like, I'm excited to see like what future characters will bring to the table. Because we already know pink-haired girl is gonna have presence. There's some dude in the OP who I'm sure is gonna be a mainstay. So yeah, we're getting like some variety.
Characters we haven't like really dived into yet. and we're probably definitely gonna see them in the next block of episodes. I guess the only thing that I could say I would like to see more of from Dandadan is that it's still being a shonen, even though it's definitely putting its rom-com foot forward. That if it's going to be having like shonen elements, I would definitely like to see like if Turbo Granny is no longer the villain, because she can't be the villain. She's been reduced to cone status. Someone else will have to take the place of an antagonistic force.
I think that will definitely happen next block of episodes. And also, like, we've had the fledgling stages of a training arc already. It was cut short because of Turbo Granny for the sake of pacing, which I definitely do not mind. But I'm sure we'll get more of that later on, more of a proper training arc. Because, once again, the show's literally made a point to cut it short. Like, they barely escape the zombie apocalypse and a crab monster, like, by the skin of their teeth. And didn't even kill Turbo Granny in the end.
Yeah, the whole show is nonstop dopamine, and I want to inject it into my body at all times, and I don't know if I can hold back from reading the manga once it's done, especially when I saw this one particular panel that I do want to show you that is I don't think a spoiler now, because now we know how the show is like going, but it is literally the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
All right,
Send these to
lay it on me.
you.
This is fucking adorable. That every
She's
Maslow's
tap
hierarchy
dancing her
of needs.
fingers on his fingers.
It's great.
See,
All
this is
right,
why
yeah,
aromantic people can't exist.
Okay, well, we've been down this debate before. You're wrong, but we can't have this discussion right now.
No. But like this is like the soul food. Like this fills my soul and raises my mood just by looking at it.
Yeah. So overall, Dandadan, it will be a damn shame if it doesn't stay this consistent. But I think it will.
I think it will too.
I'm calling it right now. Strong 9 to even a 10.
Well, we'll definitely see. It's
I'm
definitely
hoping for the
in
latter.
no lower than a 9 right now. Like anyone who's like been watching these first 4 episodes be like, yeah, it's kind of like a 7 or full of shit.
I blinked and the episodes were gone, and I wanted to inject them in my veins again.
I look forward to watching them again with my girlfriend.
Yeah,
Like normally I get annoyed when I have to like rewatch a show that I just watched. I would gladly rewatch Dandadan again. That is something that does not happen often.
I mean, you already rewatched the first episode again, so there you go.
Yeah. Hey, now we're on to what might be we called it a hidden gem back in the Castaway Anime seasonal podcast for the fall 2024 season. And we were very high on it, so it's time to give it its due process. How do you feel about Mecha-Ude now that we've got a larger sample size from it?
Well, scientifically speaking, I've done the tests and I've come to a conclusion. Rigorously. It's all right. Yeah, it's good. It's fine.
Yeah, it's good. Maybe it's not being in a good position of being compared to Dandadan.
Well, no fucking way. That's like that's a goddamn masterpiece compared to like, yeah. I mean, it's good. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm having fun
I
with
like
it.
it just fine.
警察はやめておけ。奴らは鏡グループの言いなりだ。見つかればすぐ引き渡されるだろう。
命が惜しければおとなしく俺たちに協力しろ。
保護してやる。
It's fun. It just doesn't hit, necessarily the highs that I would have wanted from it. But it's still like very charming, especially in its animation and directing.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
there's so many great facial expressions from these episodes.
Yeah, there's so many cool designs. The animations has not really dipped in quality at all. It's maintained throughout.
Yeah, I mean, especially Aki, you can tell. Like they they went hard
I'm a
in
big
giving her
Aki
all
enjoyer.
same. Like everything she does in these episodes is a joy to watch. Like I love when she's searching for Hikaru in episode 2 and she is like giving these like bloodshot glares of like, "Oh, Hikaru's right here, isn't he?" Even as she's being offered food by his classmate. I love how she like peers over the bathroom stall that Hikaru's in after like right after the trigger arm has like put all the toilet paper on the ground, and so Aki like dives into it and then emerges from under the toilet paper.
I do like the show's sense of humor.
Like when they're running away in the building, and the arm's like, Hikaru, what? It says no running in the halls. We don't have time for that now.
And then afterward, Aki's Mecha-Ude are like, Aki, wait, it says no running in the halls. And she's like, oh, fine, go into jet mode. Just flies down the hallway instead.
It's very goofy, but it's also just it's always fun.
Yeah, I like how the blue-haired friend character of Hikaru, I think her name's Meru. I like her entire character is just I'm playing matchmaker between Hikaru and seeing if you be a better partner for Aki or June.
Yeah, Meru is in fact pro gay rights. So based Meru.
She's
we're
pro
in the shipping
bisexual
world.
rights.
True. Even though obviously it's just a fabrication of her imagination, but it's still like super fun to see.
I love how
relief in this
she
show is very
comically ties up
consistently-
Hikaru in a ribbon and then has, all right, Aki and June, you're gonna fight for his love. You're gonna fight for his affection. And she's in a director's outfit.
Yeah, the comic relief is always on point. The show is very goofy, like most of the time, it seems, but
I
I
love the
like its personality.
I love the running gag that Aki gets into Hikaru's room, not through the front door, but by breaking in through the window every morning.
And he has it like there's like cardboard and tape all over the window after a certain point, and then like when she's depressed and she goes through the front door, everyone immediately knows like something's wrong. Like, oh, she went through the front door like a normal person. What the fuck?
And even in the opening for the show, like when she jumps into the window and she's doing the little run pose, and she gives a like a thumbs up or a wave to Hikaru, and then you see Alma trying to repair the glass by putting it back into place, taping it up with the cardboard. And then he accidentally pushes it through and breaks it all anyway, and just goes, never mind.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about how the plot, the thick juicy plot of Mecha-Ude is going down?
It's kind of basic. It hasn't really. I think we're like maybe starting to dive into the more any more possible juicy aspects of it with Aki and her sister in episode 5. But up until that point, it's just kind of been fairly standard, not bad, but like predictable.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all right. So the story is basically Hikaru. It's this big fish out of water scenario where we're given, about as much information as Hikaru is, and just left to be like, okay, we're like thrust into the middle of essentially Mecha-Ude gang warfare. Like fighting for the different weapons. And he has the big ol', important Mecha-Ude, which is Arima. And he like had in his memories as like the father of all the Mecha-Ude, and people want him for that and whatnot.
Because he is the trigger arm, and
He's the
he
chosen one.
yeah, he is the little brother, I think, of the leader of arms Mecha-Ude.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and then he apparently he has the specific power to correct me if I'm wrong, because the way they explained it was kind of like a boring way to do it, where they just like bring it up out of nowhere, and they just stand in a room and explain it to
That's
him.
one of my biggest problems with this block of episodes, actually. But yeah, go ahead.
So the Mecha-Ude from another dimension, they have their own like unique power supply called how do you fucking say it? Arbitrium?
Yeah, Arbitrium.
Okay, and humans can generate it themselves if they are special. And so by synchronizing and derising with other humans, they can they form like a symbiotic relationship. They get the arbitrium from humans, and in exchange they give them superpowers.
Yeah.
But
That
apparently
sounds right.
there was a big event that has separated and severed the Mecha-Ude from their home dimension, and I think from the explanation, if I remember correctly, it was kind of like the scene was kind of so boring, and I was like kind of gray, like white noise and gray static was like churning through my head at the time. But I think they said Alma is the key to like finding the way to reactivate a portal to reopen the
Yeah,
home
I
to the
think it's like
dimension.
trapped in his memories, and they're like trying to get it back, which is why he has
Yeah, that
amnesia.
sounds right.
See, the issue with that, I don't get why Hikaru wasn't told this sooner. I don't think there is any reason why now of all times is the reason why this needed to be exposited. In fact, it seems like it'd be more useful for Hikaru to understand at an earlier point why people are so obsessed with Artema. Because he's, he's running for his life here. He doesn't understand the importance of anything that's happening. He doesn't understand why people want the trigger arm specifically. He just knows they want it and I need to keep it. This seems like useful information to know from an early stage. And maybe if we had established some reason why he couldn't know, and then like found some more interesting way for maybe him to partially figure it out, and then they're like, oh well, you seem to have gotten the gist. Like here's what it's all about. Like here's the satisfying answer to this mystery. I feel like that would have been a lot more intriguing. But as it stands, we just get it exposited at I think the end of episode 4. And I was just kind of like, oh, I guess this is what we're doing now. Interesting, I guess. It's
Yeah, I guess the only
whatever.
thing you can say in its defense is that they didn't bother telling Hikaru at first because they were saying they don't. We really need Alma. You're not really as important, Hikaru. Like it's kind of like the running theme of the show. Like, oh, you're not as important as you think you are. But except no, I'm going to prove my worth that I am important.
But see, the thing is, they're still like, Alma needs to be near him at all times, or else he will shut off. And so it seems like kind of, they're stuck with him whether they like it or not, which they definitely do not like it, especially at the beginning of the show. But he's there whether they like it or not. It seems like a big piece of information to withhold and then just suddenly say without much changing to justify why now of all times is when it needs to be exposited. Just feels weird and clumsy to me.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
it is very clumsy. Like the way the show tells its story is like pretty basic. At least in my opinion, up until episode 5, where it starts to get pretty good. But yeah, until then, it's very simple and direct and like not really told in a. There's no special presentation to it. There's no flair.
yeah, I mean, I want to like this story more than I do, and I feel like that's my biggest hang up with this show. Episode 5, interesting things are beginning to happen. Although I wasn't that big on the actual reveal, I guess, or not the reveal itself, because I mean it makes sense. Like I figured it out like pretty quickly, and then we get the reveal like soon after, so it didn't feel like it didn't feel like we were wasting time getting to something I already knew. It was like, oh, okay, I figured this out, and then we get the answer. That's pretty satisfying.
Yeah,
But
I wish that they told the thing about the sister out of order, where we get Aki's backstory first, like about how there was an accident and she like seemingly sees her sister die, but then we get the reveal that the red hooded girl was with the worm Mecha-Ude was her sister all along.
that definitely would have been better, or even better than that, like build it up more as a mystery, but like give us less hints, right? And like keep us more in the dark until like at the very last moment, because right now it feels like we get introduced to this character, like, and then immediately get the answer of who they are. It's like, oh, we found her. Oh, this is who she is. I'm also not entirely clear on why they were separated for so long, but we'll probably get that later. Like, I understand that there was an accident, but I don't quite get the logic of why they were apart so long.
I think the reason was that, I mean, I'm trying to think, like, maybe, fuck, I can't think of
He's
any.
drawing blanks.
I guess because she blamed herself for the death of their parents
That's
and couldn't face her
plausible.
sister.
That makes enough sense.
I mean, I do like the big now like moral conundrum of, oh shit, my sister is now dying of this disease, that not she's not gonna produce enough arbitrium, and now she's gonna die. But and then the only way to sustain her is to feed her other Mecha-Ude and arbitrium. And now there's only like one person with like enough arbitrium to sustain her disease, and that's Hikaru. So Aki, you're gonna have to kill your best friend in order to save the life of your sister.
Yeah, I like the plot conceptually, and I like some of the through lines it's going for, of Hikaru feeling like, oh, I'm useless, I don't bring much to the table. It's just that the way, once again, it all comes down to like the specifics of how it's told, where, thus far, the ways that Hikaru has gotten through fights has been, and then Alma just derised with him because, I don't know, power of anime, and it was like really cool and badass, but we haven't really gotten a sense of deep improvement in Hikaru yet, which is a bit, like, I hope we get that. I need the shonen training arc. Even if it's like not that long, because obviously, this isn't going to be a super long running thing, but I want some kind of like satisfying, we're working towards getting better and improving my strength, and then we do, which I feel like we haven't gotten yet. And then we get to, that leg of the story where it's like, oh, Aki is coming up against Hikaru, and they're gonna fight. It's gonna be like super interesting. You're like, yeah, I am very excited to see how that pans out, but it's also, I don't know, there's just a certain something missing that's hard to exactly vocalize, but it's the sauce of a story where everything is coming together and firing on all cylinders to be like, this is, gripping, versus things are happening and, oh, I guess that thing is pretty interesting. I guess I'll keep watching.
Yeah, the biggest tease that they leave us off with is that at the end, very very end of episode 5, where Fubuki, the sister of Aki, is kind of like kicking her legs and smiling about like, oh boy, I hope my sister saves me this time. Like she doesn't care that she has to feed her best friend's life to herself so she can live. but then she also like has a tear running down her cheek. So, like, is she like knowing that she has to do this and is upset about it, or she's feigning ignorance?
We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know. I hope the show finds some way to tie everything it's got going on together. You know, the through line of Hikaru, needing to prove his worth, and Aki facing this conundrum. They do feel kind of disconnected as of now. Like we've suddenly pivoted into just being about a new thing. But I have some faith that it'll coalesce.
Yeah, I do like how depressed Aki's design has her hair, instead of being tied up, it's tied down.
That was cool. She rocks the ponytail.
Yeah, and I love all of the like the designs of the Mecha-Ude. It's a fun power system, and I like how all of them look. Once again, the CG is well composited.
Look, man, we're not this show is like the proof. We aren't anti-CG. We're anti-bad CG. We're anti like
Exactly.
jarring use of CG. But if you do it like this, it's cool because they're all robots. And so if they look out of place, well, first of all, compositing is good, so they don't look out of place. But even when they do look almost out of place, they're robots. They're inorganic. It's like chill. It's fine.
Yeah, and they all look cool. Almo when he powers up and doesn't rip off Hitman Reborn. Aki's edgy black and red Mecha-Ude. June's green electric snake one that he can slither all around with.
Yeah, June's Mecha-Ude is like super cool, and I want to see it get more use because I feel like that one fight didn't really do a good job of showing off like how cool it is. I mean, it's got some cool shots, but I don't know. I want to see more of it.
I feel like we're gonna get to see more of it in the next episode, because that's when
Yeah.
Aki's gonna have to fight all of them, including the Soundwave dude from episode 2 that ends up joining their team.
I actually love the gag where it's like his Mecha-Ude, he's been freed now. He's one of the good guys, just extremely reluctantly. And his Mecha-Ude is like his Mecha-Ude literally went, I can fix him. And is like has like made it his mission. I'm gonna reform him and teach him how to treat a Mecha-Ude right. You gotta apologize. You gotta get down and prostrate.
You gotta beat the shit out of him.
Like for someone who was, the first villain and like not a super threatening one compared to, obviously, I mean, Aki's pretty threatening now, but not really a villain in, any sense at all. But for the Skrunklo villain, I feel like this is a perfect role for him to fit.
Yeah. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is June, because he represents something that I think they're gonna build to. I feel like he's gonna end up the final boss of the show. Like he seems like, going off the opening, he is like the rival to Hikaru. He has a artificial Mecha-Ude, one that doesn't really have like a sentient life, like all the other ones we've seen. And he took it and tried to attach it to himself because I think it was because he was like supposed to have the trigger arm, right? But then it was supposed to be implanted onto him, but then it got taken by Hikaru.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and so he was going to challenge him with the snake one and then try to take it back, but then Hikaru beat him. And so I do like this twist. He joins his school much like Aki did, and is now like, all right, I'm going to get close to you and study you and the secrets of the trigger arm before we have our rematch.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna fight again at some point. Although, I at least get the sense, just from how it's being portrayed thus far, He's gonna be a good guy in the end.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be a good
chill.
guy by the end, but I feel like, like he'll either be the final boss that they have to defeat, and then he'll like join the side to take down the Kagami group, or he's going to be the prelude to the final boss.
I think he's gonna be more like the prelude, because the final boss seems like is gonna be an actual big bad that we gotta take down. But
Because I don't think we've seen like who like the ultimate big bad guy is yet. We just seen like members of the Kagami group.
Well, it's got to be someone in the Kagami group. I mean, his brother seems kind of sociopathic.
True, we just haven't seen him like really do anything. Unless he was also in the first episode, and I just kind of blanked that out because it's been so long.
I don't think he was in the first episode, but then again, like he was being chased by the Kagami group in episode 1, so maybe like we got a brief glimpse of him that we just didn't register yet. I
guess. But overall, I know this segment we not have nearly as much to say about it as Dandadan, but I'm glad it exists just to prove that there are like good original anime out there. And like there's still like a good well of like unique ideas from lesser studios, because remember, this used to be a Kickstarter for a pilot OVA, and now it has a full-fledged series, and for like the creator's first go, this is a very good first outing so far.
I am currently pleased with it, and I hope it continues this way.
I hope more anime follow in its production like this.
Exactly, because the production is very solid. Like I'm very pleased with how it looks and feels to be in. It's good. It's a nice, solid show.
Yeah, it's like right now hovering in about like the 7 out of 10 range.
I would agree. It's a nice 7 out of 10. It's a fun time. It's just not gonna knock your socks off in the way that a Dandadan will.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's all we got for today, unless you have any last minute thoughts, Crunchy.
I like men. That's my last minute thought.
What a way to end it off. Well, if you enjoyed the podcast, please give us your thoughts on what we talked about today down in the comments. What you'd like to talk about in the future. If you want to keep up with Castaway Anime and never miss an episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel here on YouTube or follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Crunchy's channel and check out all our socials, all linked in the description below. That'll do her for this episode of Castaway Anime. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And you'll see us next time.